Welcome to Las Vegas, and this is a GG33 production. Today, we got an all-star cast. Let's get it started. First, Pearl. She's been everywhere.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Making his podcast debut, DeBrute. What's up, brother?
What's up, brother? Glad to be here. Appreciate it.
And last but not least, Malik Obama. This is basically American royalty over here. How are we doing today, brother?
Not bad. Pretty good.
So, listen, guys, we got an all-star cast here. I'm going to go right into it, man. When we look at what's going on in today's society, what is the biggest freaking issue? To me, it's feminism. Pearl?
To me, it's women voting, which is a result of feminism.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the root of all evil was when they just gave us whatever we wanted, you know? And now it's like you have all these politicians that can't get elected unless the women have a say. And it's like...
Democrats.
Yeah, well, that's what... Neither of them. I've even talked to Republicans that say they lost an election because they need to get this... Women are swing voters. Or men, it's funny. Men are more loyal even in party. It's like we can't even vote loyally. So it's like they're like, let's let the women be happy, let's give them whatever they want, and let's let them vote. And that was the root of all evil.
I keep telling people, their 19th Amendment was way worse than 19.
Take that shit away. Take that shit away immediately.
DeBrute, what's your thoughts on feminism?
Man, I think we're looking at the peak of the sexual inversion. I think men are becoming, the gender lines are extremely blurred. Men are obviously becoming more like women. Women are becoming more like men. I could chop this up for an hour specifically on the things I've ascertained about it. But yeah, the culture is 100%. The gender lines are very muddied right now. And I think that women are experiencing a lot of the things that men have experienced over the past 100 years.
Malik, you live in Kenya and America. Obviously, America is the best country in the world. But when you come here, you must see some crazy that you don't see in Kenya, brother.
Yeah, it's like Star Trek, deep state. You know,
so crazy over here, huh?
You know, I'm telling you. But right now, you know, the main thing is to keep it real. You know, and call it as it is. You know, this blurry stuff, you can't be all that you want to be because either you're a man or a woman and that's it. But you can't have like, you don't know what you are, you know. So I'm into like the reality, you know, and that's how it is.
Your brother never would have got elected without the female vote. I think, what was it, Pearl? About 61% of females voted for Obama?
Oh, I don't know, but I mean, I heard that. Freaking every election would have been Republican won if we just let the men vote.
That's the whole point.
Because like this is what'll happen. This is what they'll do. They'll be like, "Oh, here's a video of a 12-year-old girl that can't get an abortion. This sad story." And we're so stupid. We just start running to the polls. We're like, "Oh my God!"
Because
this
women,
poor 12-year-old, we need to go vote.
Because women can be easily emotionally manipulated.
Yeah.
If I was running the government, DeBrute, I'd want women voters too. Too easy to manipulate.
You know, sometimes I want to run for an office just to take that shit away and step down because women shouldn't be in politics. They shouldn't be in politics.
Yeah, no.
Why would you want a woman deciding for who? World War III. Like, why do you want a woman with the nuke button? She's gonna get her period and then be like, "Oh my God,
well, how about
that country said something about me." World War III.
Well, would it be okay for a woman to be elected if she is going through menopause? Because, you know, I remember, you know, when I was younger, I used to see judges quite often when I was young, especially in my 20s. And a lot of these judges were females. And I was always thinking, man, I hope it's not that time of the month because this bitch is gonna ring me up. And you know, I was you know, you see like one guy get rung up before you, another guy get rung up before you, and then you're like,
when we're in menopause, we're crazy too. It's like you've never seen like a woman going through menopause. Like it's like they lose their minds.
My mother, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, no. I just think the root of all evil was when they said to women that you're equally as capable of making decisions as men. I think that was the root of all evil because it was a lie. It's not true.
Malik, in Kenya, are these women running around demanding this and that like they do in entitled America?
Not before, but right now, yes, because now we're in this new age. And,
Oh, so they're Americanized over there too.
They're trying to.
They want to get their bag from the man too over there now, huh?
Culturally, traditionally, and the customs out there won't allow it. So it's like unnatural, and it's something really, really strange. But the powers, all these World Bank and whoever they are, who's trying to run the show, is trying to make everybody, toe the line and make homosexuality legal, which is...
Oh, that ain't going to happen in Africa, is it?
Yeah.
That ain't going to happen in Africa. I'll go there. Malik, I will go to your country and protest against it. I'll be like, listen, when it comes to homosexuality, don't listen to the white man. Don't ever listen to white man on that garbage, because that's what they promote. I honestly thought 10 years ago it was a white man disease. I really thought that's what it was, because it was just spreading. But now I understand it's an agenda, and they start pushing this stuff in schools. Malik, let me ask you something. How many wives are you allowed to have in Kenya?
In Africa, there's no limit,
What'd you say?
You can have as many as you want.
So you could have 4, 5, 6, 7?
As many as you want. That's just traditionally custom. According to custom, that's how it is. But in Islam, you can only have 4.
I see. Okay. So when it comes down to you, how many wives have you had, sir?
It's a bit personal. I'm not going to say.
Okay.
They come and go.
They come and go?
They come and go. Gary, I've been rotating a theory about homosexuality that I think is kind of avant-garde. Not too many people have explored this, but I genuinely think this is true. I think the onslaught of homosexuality is stemming from the dating market is so steep. It's so competitive now to lock down a truly good woman. What is the only community in the world who will accept you for who you are, no matter how disgusting, portly, fat, corpulent, doesn't matter how ugly and grotesque you are, you can get in the gay community without any credentials, you don't need any resume, you will find someone to get laid. So you can be the most grotesque loser on planet Earth and the gay community will accept you. There's no standards in the gay community. And I do believe a lot of men are abandoning their posts and going AWOL and going into the gay community simply because it's that tough on the heterosexual side.
You're telling me you think that there's a lot of gay men in the world right now because they can't get some pussy?
100%. I think they're exploring. I think they're porno brain, first of all. I think porn absolutely is a gateway to homosexuality because your dopamine is so torched and so fried. I mean, look at Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen was banging hookers every day for years. He could no longer get an orgasm unless he started sucking dick. That's literally the gateway. So I do think men are abandoning their posts and being very experimental in this community because this community will accept you for who you are no matter what kind of blemishes you have on your record. In the heterosexual community, we know there's power dynamics. You cannot escape being somebody as a man to get a good wife.
Yeah, well, you even see it in prison. Like I've seen
100%.
interviews of guys that said they were straight when they went into prison and they adapt. I mean, like, arguably sex is a need for men, so if they don't get it from women, it's like...
Defense mechanism.
Yeah. I wonder what % of gay people would be gay if they had, like, the opportunity to date a model.
I think a lot of people in today's society might be gay because they were raised by single mothers and they didn't have any masculine energy around them.
That could
I think that's probably the biggest thing because if you look at it, there's so many more single mothers today, and I believe there's a lot more gay people today. It looks like a correlation to me. Obviously, they're still pushing this garbage in the school system, brainwashing people, and by the way, women bought that up hook, line, and sinker.
We're just dummies. We're idiots.
That's why the government loves you.
Yeah, like, and I tried to like not come to this conclusion until I just saw the things like as a collective we were like voting for. I was like, we have had so much choice in the last 100 years. We've like had more choice. We could be anything, and we've chosen to be whores. 1 out of 25 of us under 35 are on OnlyFans, and I didn't.
OnlyFans
and
down.
I didn't even include women that accept like Instagram sex. Only imagine this, and Zerka brought this up on a podcast. Only 4% of us are virgins on our wedding days. all we had to do was think, wait till 22, 21, go get like a Saudi prince, you're a virgin. But none of us thought of that. We're idiots.
Oh, you could have got a big
Idiots.
bad.
I know. I didn't think of it.
Could you
I was
imagine,
I know.
girls?
I heard something.
Keep your legs closed and you
I
get
know.
paid, ladies.
I know.
I
And
heard-
it's like we're dummies.
I heard something that made me laugh recently. They said any time a woman sleeps with a partner before marriage, that's her cheating on her future husband.
I agree.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's all manufactured, because naturally and traditionally, people weren't just sleeping around. Not really, You had to, get married first. And fornication really is for married couples.
What about your brother Barack?
I can't say. Because,
Was he a ladies' man before he got with Michelle?
yeah, well, when I first met him, he was with Sheila.
Sheila?
Yeah, there's a lady called Sheila. So.
Sheila sounds like a cartoon character.
Nah, she was a nice
Wasn't
lady.
it like some kind of like He-Man, She-Ra or something like that? I'm going flashback to the 80s.
Nah,
Sorry,
just
show
some
my
lady,
age.
Some lady. So, I guess
So she was a lady though.
she was a lady.
Okay,
She was a
okay.
lady.
Well, we're cooking now. So what else?
Was?
She was, that is like in the past,
What
so
happened?
we're talking about past tense, yeah.
Because
Way
right
back,
now
like
it looks
in
like
1985.
looks like she has a contract as a lineman for the Chicago Bears.
I haven't seen her in a long time, so. that's
When's the
what I'm
last time you
saying.
saw Michelle?
Michelle, when was it? 2008,
2008,
2009,
2009.
at the inauguration.
Okay,
yeah.
you were at her wedding in '92,
Yeah,
and then you were over there in 2009.
yeah.
In that 17 years, did she become a bodybuilder? Like, how did she pick up like so much mass?
You tell me. I don't know.
I mean, this is
strange.
your field, brother. How does a woman who, I mean, she looked like she was about 135, 140 pounds at her wedding date. How does she look like a linebacker now? Is that possible?
Linebacker, Pro Bowl.
Brian Urlacher, huh?
She's got a 4.240.
I mean,
unreal.
all jokes aside, I mean, that's a scary bitch.
She's got a V
Well,
taper.
she keeps
Have you seen the V
changing.
taper?
So she loses weight, she adds weight. So I don't know. She's just like amorphous.
Is she taking steroids, in your
Could
opinion?
be. I mean,
100%.
I don't know.
She's on anabolics,
There's
guaranteed.
something going on there. I don't know what it is.
She's running the holy trinity. HGH, DECA, little test base, little Anavar for breakfast.
Why would you do that? Doesn't that like look bad?
It's got to be some kind of cultural programming, right?
Listen, that picture you showed me, and we'll put it up when we start doing clips. That you showed me of Michelle Obama at her wedding. She looked like a woman to me.
Yeah,
She looked like a straight woman. When you met Michelle Obama in 1992, she looked like a woman, correct?
Yes, she did.
Yeah, she was svelte. I saw pictures of her. She was svelte. She was lithe, walking through the room, petite.
Yeah.
Now, her delts are bigger than mine.
How is that possible
It's not.
for a woman?
It's not.
A lot of strange things going on now. Maybe it's not her. Maybe it's somebody else.
Ah, okay. So is it possible, in your opinion, that the Michelle Obama we're seeing right now is not the same Michelle Obama that you saw in 1992?
It could be anything because everything's staged now. The
world's a stage.
Everything's staged now. You don't know what's real and what's not real. That's why I'm talking like Pearl talking about. Nobody knows, like, a woman, is this a real woman? You don't know if you're with a woman or with a man because the lines, you don't know. People
Well, I
go
know.
in and
I know because
change
I
it.
checked. But
See,
Have you heard of that guy that was drugging women on dates by putting Viagra in their drinks just to make sure?
yeah, right now,
what has the World Cup
I
to?
know. He's like, I just wanted to double
Really?
check.
right now you don't know what's going on. You don't know.
Do you have transsexuals in Kenya?
Shoot. Yeah, one or two. I mean, like, they're there, but
Are they?
they don't go around flaunting it.
I see. So you don't have LGBT parades in Kenya?
They're trying to do all that, but it's against the law, so we-
Kenya is it Kenya more of a Christian or a Muslim country?
it's mixed.
Mixed.
It's mixed. You
Okay,
got-
so the Christians are going to bend the knee like they do here in America to the. I don't see the Muslims doing it.
No, they're trying to brainwash everybody and try and get like this new world order. The people are trying to control everything. They're trying to make things in such a way that you don't know whether you can see it's a Pepsi, but they're trying to tell you it's a Coca-Cola. You know,
You're pretty politically correct, my man.
that's what they're trying to do. You know, they're playing and messing around with everybody's mind.
It's the power of repetition. That's
And
what they
if you
did with
try
COVID.
if you try to be real and natural, they're trying to make that abnormal. So everything is like upside
Oh, so
down.
if you have a family,
Yes.
if you take care of your kids, if you have a housewife that you take care of, that's abnormal.
It's abnormal.
You're the up one, right?
That's right.
Ah, see, I got it now.
Yeah.
It all makes sense now.
So they're trying to flip everything.
What your brother wants to do?
That's what he's doing. He's like a what do you call an octopus? You don't know where he stands. He's standing there. You know, he's trying to please everybody. You know, you can't go around pleasing everybody. You got to make a stand. You got to have a spine.
And your brother does not have a
I
spine.
don't think so. No, he's up to it. You know, whatever is going to make him, you know, stand out. You know.
Last time I talked to you in Miami was around May of this year, and I told you that I believe that Barack Obama is going to start going after Joe Biden. Since that interview in May, countless scandals with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden have been released to the press. Your brother's going for him. But there is a body found right by Obama, his personal chef. How does Obama's personal chef die on Martha's Vineyard? How does that happen? You ever been there?
No, I don't know. Like right now in Hawaii is burning, and I haven't heard him say a thing about it. And that's where he was born.
Oh, so you don't give a
I don't think he does. He's like just doing something out there, and I'm trying to figure him out. And he's not the person that I knew. He's changed.
Oh, well, when you hold ankles, that's what happens. DeBrute, let me ask you something. When I start saying that the personal chef for Barack Obama was found dead on Martha's Vineyard, what comes to your head? What is it? The Clintons sending messages to old boy? What do you think something like that is?
Yeah, I mean, foul play immediately comes to mind, of course.
Pearl?
I don't know anything about that. I don't know, maybe.
See, this is exactly what we need. We need women to be like that. Oh, I don't know anything about politics. I don't care anything about politics. If that happens, the world will be a much better place. I promise you that.
Yeah, my only politics is women shouldn't vote. That's my biggest politics, sorry.
You know, and I honestly, let me ask you this, bro. If men go out there and say, we will provide certain benefits for women, do you think as a whole they'll give up their right to vote? If say that
No,
they'll give,
no, I don't think we'll ever give it up because we already get a bunch of rights. We already get a bunch of privileges. We're paid to be single mothers.
Yeah.
We're paid to leave marriages. We also get paid if we stay married. It's like,
In California, you don't even have to get married. 6 months,
Yeah.
live in the same place, you can start suing the guy for child support.
yeah, no, exactly.
crazy
So
is that?
it's like what more do we need? We have everything. You can go work. You can go not work. You can go live off the government. You can go live off a man. It's like what else do we need? And what do we still do? We whine. And that's what I realized. I'm like, we just are big whiners. Like, we just are never happy. I don't know why.
You can never satisfy a woman.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It just
just
seems to be our nature. I don't know.
I just did a video on this. Corporate land is dominated by women. It's done. Phone it in. Man, I don't think the job space is even a viable market for men anymore. I truly don't. I think it's all dominated by women. Corporations are headed in that direction. But my point in stating that is that there's really only two sectors left of men, in my opinion, who can even find a wife. And this is controversial, but it's losers and the rich. Losers have access to women because, in my opinion, there's a low anxiety. You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain income spread right now that is very hard for men in the dating market, and that spread, in my opinion, is between like 140 to 250,000 a year income. Those guys are invisible. They're not rich, but they have the kind of jobs that are just hard enough to where there's no women around. So they're having such a tough time, and a lot of these guys,
Computer geeks?
100%, the tech guys, and I have access to this market because these are the guys who follow me on Twitter. And they all lament to me over and over again that as soon as they got on their feet and got these higher paying jobs, Their dating market completely dried up. It's drier than the Sahara. They cannot find women. When they were losers, they said they were cleaning up. And I think it's because...
Are they going for higher quality women now, though?
I think they are.
Oh, yeah,
I think
that's probably why.
That's probably why. But I do think that in this culture that's inverted, the ambition of a man who works out routinely, is super shredded, jacked, rich, it yells anxiety. And I think that is what's putting these women off subliminally. I think that women like low anxiety men, which is why I think the loser archetype, for whatever reason, does do well in this kind of market.
It's only the loser if he's hot, though, right? You're telling an ugly loser gets bitches?
That's true.
Oh, okay.
That's true. But then they talk about how, like, gold diggers, and I'm like, how do you bash a gold digger? In my eyes, that makes zero sense, because you mean to tell me that a woman likes you for something that you earned rather than the way that you were born? Like, that's how it should be. A woman should be into you based on what you've earned in this life. So the whole women coming after your money.
Are they going to be loyal, though? If you find a woman when you actually have a big bag, a high percentage of them are not going to be loyal. If you find a woman when you're broke, you bond together, you grow together, she's probably not going to cheat on you when you have the bag.
But that's if you take the nerd route. If you take the nerd route, like Elon's worth $230 billion, can't lock down a woman, still jerking off about Grimes. True. But I do think life experience is what bleeds over to, look, and I've said this on Spaces before, I do believe the single thing that a woman wants the most in a man subliminally, and I've never heard anybody else say this but me, I think ultimately a woman wants to know that she cannot fool or befuddle you. She can't pull one over on you. You see her coming a mile away, you put it in check. She has to know for sure she cannot pull the wool over your eyes on anything. You know when she's lying, you know when she's being sneaky. You just know, you can telegraph it. That only comes from life experience. It doesn't come from business. A lot of these rich crypto kids who are nerds who became very wealthy, they're struggling because they skipped the life part. You got to be in the trenches as a man, suffering pain. You got to learn life. You got to get your heart broken a couple times. That's the root of a man. Once you kind of build that scar tissue and you have that experience, it translates over and you become a gamer. Then it's
first you get played, then you become a player, correct?
100%.
Okay, yeah, that seems logical. Pro, anything to say?
No, I agreed with him. I would have said guidance, but it's like the same thing.
It's like the same thing.
Yeah. It's like, no, because when you are looking at a guy, you kind of want to see, it's like, can he guide me in the right direction? Yeah.
100%. And I think a lot of these younger guys don't understand that you have to teach all the time. Like that being in a long-term relationship is it's life on hardcore mode. It is the hardest difficulty setting.
And especially like with us, like a bunch of women, like most women weren't raised to be wives. Right? Like even women that like came from 2-parent households, it's like what % of men lead relationships? What % of people have traditional relationships? You know, there's an entire, and like I think a third of people were born in single-parent households now.
Depending on the demographics, much higher.
Yeah.
Depending on the demographics, much higher.
Yeah, but so that's what I mean when I say guidance, because half of guys don't even they don't even know that, you know.
No, they can't even get that part down at all.
Yeah.
Don't communicate, don't sit down, don't teach. You have to explain things.
The computer has done a lot to destroy men's ability to actually know how to talk to women.
100%.
I remember having get-togethers in Vegas, inviting a whole bunch of people, and you would see women sitting at the bar and guys playing video games. And I'm like, I'm married and everything, so I can't really do anything. But I'm looking at these women like, I'm sorry, I feel bad for you. I don't know what else to tell you. Playing video games when you have women around who are basically trying to, get to know you and stuff like that. I think these guys don't know how to talk to women. And, 10, 15 years ago, I would have laughed at the idea of a coach that tells, guys how to, get women. I would have laughed at that hitch concept. Now, it's a viable market.
Well, but yeah, we also lost community, I think. You know what I mean? Like people used to have like friend groups, or you'd meet like the guy down the hall.
Your neighbors and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like, maybe a guy that didn't know how to talk.
I hate my neighbor, by the way. Go ahead.
But I don't know any of the neighbors in my building. Or in London, like I don't know any of them.
I know all the neighbors that have a Trump sign in their front yard. Those are the ones I go and I say, how you doing? Those are the ones I want to break bread with. And basically what you have to understand is a lot of people are very stupid. I'm just going to flat out say it. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. People are very ignorant. And one of the biggest reasons is because people don't get breastfed anymore. Fact. When kids get breastfed, their IQs go up 9 to 10% higher. So when the women actually stayed at home, when men were men and they actually had enough money to provide for the family, all of a sudden these kids had higher IQs. People wonder why all these people are stupid now. No one's getting breastfed.
And then you have tenacious life forms like myself that can get half and half and still turn out all right.
Oh, there you go, brother. But like, you're the exception to the rule.
It's 100% true, though. I think the breastfeeding thing is insane to me because how did Gerber's, like that is the greatest marketing campaign ever. How did Gerber's hijack the female amygdala and convince them
We're dummies.
that fucking Zog slop is more potent and powerful and nourishing than your own breast? That's a marketing campaign. Women got bamboozled in what, the 70s, 80s? That's just completely
before that.
Yeah, they completely abdicated their feminine instinct to Gerber's.
Yeah,
that makes zero fucking sense to me. How the power and forces in play on that.
I mean, we pick husbands. I'm sorry, through horoscope signs.
I mean, that's how I did it.
We look at magazines. I think what you do is a little more complex than what the average chick does.
Oh yeah, I do numerology.
But Pearl, that's a good point.
It's like, I'm just saying, like, this is, not character, not like what to, it's.
It was amazing, Pearl. When I first started getting into numerology, astrology, I went to all the top numerologists, all the top astrologers in 2002. And there was a common theme. Woman divorced 3-4 times. And I kept asking these women, if you're so good at astrology, why'd you get divorced 3 or 4 times? People grow apart. But you didn't see that coming? And just to put it in perspective, I've been married for almost 20 years. So obviously I knew what the hell I was doing. But other people, they just don't. I mean, Malik, when it comes to your country, are men having similar issues like they do in America? They can't find a good woman? I mean, obviously you don't have that problem.
No, in Africa, traditionally it's arranged, so like by the time the woman gets to the age of puberty, she's married off.
Sell her off like a cow.
So it's not like, any woman who is not married after that age is just whoring around,
So wait a second. If a woman isn't married by what age? 20, 22?
Well, when she starts, experiencing, she can
Period?
give birth, yeah.
Well, they can sometimes give birth at 13, 14. What's that?
Yeah, so they married off because...
At 13, 14?
No, I'm just saying that because, what it is, culturally over there, if a woman gives birth, like she was saying that most women now are not virgins, They've been sleeping around,
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, to get a good woman who hasn't been sleeping around, you have to catch them before they get going. Yeah. So they get married off.
Do you think that's a superior system than what is going on here in America?
I think so, yes.
Less divorce?
And they don't get divorced because at that time, at that age, she's not, corrupted. So she's going to go into the marriage, ready for it.
Pearl, you looking for an arranged marriage?
What's funny? When I was younger, I would always say my parents could do an arranged marriage. They never took me up on it, though.
Gary, I actually want someone to challenge me on this because this is something I've been thinking about.
Go ahead.
I've been begging for someone to challenge me on this one. The whole body count thing, I get it. In its fundamental form, I understand why it's atrocious, right? Mm-hmm. However, I do think women are by far the more malleable sex. It's not even close. I think women that are damaged, abused, traumatized, etc., I think have a much higher chance of restoration than men who are traumatized. And the reason I think that is because anytime you see a woman get into a relationship with an extremely powerful male that she respects and reveres, all of that slutty behavior literally disappears. I've seen it over and over again. I do believe women can be restored by powerful men.
Why would they want to? Why would you want to restore a fucking whore when, there's so many other women who basically haven't been through the trenches like they have? As a man, I would be repulsed if a woman had a high body count.
Repulsed, yes, but I think part of the male instinct of wielding that power is understanding that you can actually take a broken woman. And I'm not talking about being fucking Captain Save-A-Ho. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about finding a woman that you want to invest in. Because let's be real. And here's why I'm coming to this conclusion. If you look at every wealthy athlete, even the billionaires, why are none of the people who have the means and the power, why are none of them exploring this utopia of virgins? I don't see that in practice. I see it in theory. In the real world that I live in, all the athletes are competing with all the Instagram whores that have a huge amount of body counts because those women are experienced, they're fun, they're more attractive. It seems to me that all the excruciating...
Are they marrying those bitches though?
They're not marrying them, but they're where is the virgin utopia that everyone's talking about?
They're not around anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
They're just not around.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So, like he said in the beginning,
it's almost like you do it young or not at all, seems like these days.
Fair enough.
Like you get married young. That's why I always say, if churches aren't actively like setting people up, they're really just pushing promiscuity. Because what's the option? Most people aren't going to wait till what, 21, 22? Like, so if you're not pushing early marriage, what's the other alternative?
Who waits till that age?
But that's my question. We still have to play the game, right? As men, we still have to play the game. We're dealt cards right now. This is the landscape. This is the culture. What do? We got to play our hand.
Right. And even 100 years ago, 85% of women said they were virgins. So, like, even if they're lying, right? And, like, it's 2 out of 3. That's still the majority, right? So
that's
even if you
because these women were shamed.
Right.
They were shamed.
I know. But I'm saying, like nowadays, only 4% of women are virgins. So he's saying adapt to the market.
100%.
Like, so I'm saying, like, 96% of us would have been thrown out 100 years ago.
Okay.
Like that's how crazy like everything's like the culture shifted.
I would have been burned at the stake for being a numerologist astrologer 200 years ago.
Dude,
so,
would have been impaled on antler bones.
Hey, brother.
In fucking ancient Greece. So would I.
Yeah. It's as much bullshit as we talk about, as much as everything is wrong in the world, let's face it, guys. Since the 1940s, humanity's had been on a good run, man. Humanity's been on a good run. We've actually had more wealth.
Run ever.
We've had a lot of wealth. And the problem is these women now have their own money. And because they have their own money, they believe they don't need a man. And when they're in their 20s, 30s, that might work. But once they hit that 40, and I can't tell you the number of women I've given numerology readings to who were, in their 40s, 45, they have no kid, obviously the cat at the house. And they keep telling me, I got bamboozled. And what I'm trying to tell you young women out there is, don't get played. You just saw what they did with You just saw how they played the world with COVID. Never trust the government, especially if you're a woman, because they just want to destroy your life. They want you to be a leech on society. They want you to have a whole bunch of kids out of wedlock because those kids are not going to have masculine figures. And what happens when kids don't have masculine figures? They become criminals because no one checks them when they're young. 85% of rapists were raised by single mothers. You fucking feminists want to talk about shit? You're the ones who are fucking bringing the fucking rapists. You're doing this.
That's what I went for months. I was like, is there anything women are better at? And I came to this conclusion that men must just be superior beings because we're more likely to kill the infants and the elderly. That's literally the one thing we're supposed to be, is nurturing. I couldn't believe it. And then I found out all the world's problems basically happen when we raise kids. So I was like, unless we're under the authority of men, we just kind of suck.
I can't disagree with anything.
Like, it's like, I mean, I'm not saying we can't be great, but it's literally only under the authority of men. Because, like, what happens when we're left to our own devices? We just suck.
It's 100% true. That's why I've said ambition, I think, is a feminine trait, because women are the ambitious ones. Women need to project their authority onto a tall, charismatic, handsome man, right? That's the archetype in order to push their agenda, right? In a common household now, even guys with money, it's the women coming to the husband, hey, I wanted you to start a fucking bakery, right? Even if it loses 10K a month, he's like, baby, have fun. Go torch 10K a month, have fun with your bakery. Women are constantly trying to advance an agenda through projecting their authority onto a man. Now, the man has the ability to strike that down, right? Or not. But I do believe that the ethos of ambition is a feminine trait. In the modern society, ambition is a feminine trait. I will die on that.
So if I have an ambition to become president of the United States, that's feminine?
So here's the thing. The drive, the anima inside the man, because there's masculine and feminine, the balance,
Correct.
right?
Yin yang.
Every hyper masculine man has an extremely feminine core. I believe that to be an absolute fact. Yes, I believe there's a woman driving that man deep inside 100%.
I will agree in the sense that almost every man I've ever met who's a baller, I mean, you know, not fucking gold chains all over, but a legitimate 100 million billionaire, most of them have a very good woman on their side. I will tell you that.
Absolutely.
It's very important for men to actually have a loyal woman. Let me tell you why. As a man, you can't go out there and conquer. You can't go out there and be the best version of yourself if you're worried your girl's gonna be sucking someone else's dick when you're gone.
100%.
You can't do it.
100%.
I mean, unless you're Destiny.
100%. You know that line in that rap song, "Hoes ain't loyal"? I think that's completely inverted. I think women are the loyal ones. If a woman truly loves a man, I kid you not, you think it's your boys who will bury a body in the desert for you. It's actually your girl. A woman will go under barbed wire and climb fucking Mount Everest naked for you if she's in love with you. I have never seen loyalty on this earth from any creature, any beast, than a woman. That's the truth. I've had plenty of male loyalty, but the female loyalty, once it's locked in, is unlike any other beast on the planet.
Maybe with you.
We're talking about outliers, right?
Maybe with you. And I gotta say, you know, when it comes down to it, if you're fucking a woman right, she's probably not gonna leave you.
100%.
You know, that's what it all comes down to. They need that in their life too.
Yeah, but a woman would rather be the king's concubine than the peasant's wife. So she's leaving the peasant for the king.
Yeah, women who have rules will break them for certain guys.
Yeah.
That I've seen. There's a reason 40% of men don't have kids and only 14% of women don't have kids. And that's why we had the institution of marriage. That's why we actually had religion. So that 40% of losers could have women, could have wives. That's why the institution of marriage was created. So they could have kids, a society, but now it's all destroyed. And it's all destroyed because of feminism. Because these women now will run around, do whatever they want, and they have no accountability. I mean, accountability in women just go hand in hand like oil and water.
Okay, but this is where the red pill goes wrong. It goes super wrong, right? Red pill tells you be toxic, be unavailable, don't be around too much. You got to be with your boys, leave her at home. Leave her at home, garbage advice, and I'll tell you why. In the 1950s, if a woman was chilling at home, there was no cultural programming that was that corrosive. If she turns on the TV, what's going to be on the TV? Little House on the Prairie, Lassie?
Yep.
Not that bad, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if you leave a woman at home long term for too long, what's the cultural programming? She's going to be scrolling Instagram, Facebook, absolutely corrosive, toxic, corrosive programming, right? So it's going to fry her brain 100% if she's left unchecked. I think it's the complete opposite. I think men need to be in the game very often with their woman in 2023. I think you need to be around her all the time. I think she should be like the pet monkey on your shoulder everywhere you go, because it's that projected authority that I was talking about. You know what I mean?
Men can't always be around their women. They have to trust their woman is going to be loyal when they're out there, going out there across the country making their bag.
100%. But I also do believe that women need to look. I think the only relationships that work nowadays is a woman needs to be in on the project with her man. She should be helping you secure the bag. If your woman's not helping you secure the bag or not working with you on a project, there's a fucking problem, in my opinion. There has to be an incorporation.
I mean,
some degree.
Listen, if a woman is working too much, she starts stressing out and she starts picking up masculine traits. Yeah, it's okay for your woman to help you out a little bit, but none of this 50-50 bullshit.
No. Certainly not. Certainly not the 50-50 thing, but like,
I don't know. I've seen a trend of like women kind of ruining their husband's business. I've seen like a trend of like women thinking they're way more important than they are and taking all the credit for their husband's success.
I've actually heard that one before.
I've seen this like trend.
That's fucking funny.
Yeah. So I don't know. I could see both sides, but I definitely like some chicks get in the business. I'm not going to say it because I'm not trying to start drama, but I could think of one YouTube personality that like the woman has made their reputation so much worse. So much worse. No, don't say it.
I will agree if it comes to an intelligent, high value woman. But I mean, intelligent women, bro, come on. Come on, dude.
You know I hate the middle. You know I hate talking about the middle. I like talking about the top.
I got you.
And that's something we have in
But
common.
the people who are listening to you
100%.
are at the bottom.
100%.
At least most of them.
But they're aspiring to be at the top.
Yeah.
I get you. I get you, brother.
The thing that I wanted to say too is I think you can literally only be an alpha in the streets or in the sheets. You have to pick one. All the gangsters that I know that are alpha in the streets, they're all on their wife's leash, all of them, because they're away from home too long. And what happens is my point is obviously you can be away from the home, but if you're away from home for too long, you inevitably make mistakes that score her a ton of points. That's all I'm saying. In this modern day and age, you can almost say Instagram and social media is a surrogate patriarchy, right? As a man, you now are pitted against enemies that are trying to control and dominate your women. Corporations, everything is trying to program your woman. So where does the authority come from? Men are losing authority to all these media conglomerates. So how do you step in and squash that? You got to be in the game with her. That's my point. Of course, you still have to answer the call to adventure as a male. If you're a red-blooded male, yeah, you got to scratch that itch. But me as a man, I'm pitted against I got 20 guns pointed at my head trying to program my woman.
On a good day.
On a good day. And I got to fight that somehow, right? The only way to do that is to be sitting in the throne.
I think the best way to do that is make sure your woman doesn't have any fucking friends who are whores.
That's the.
I think that's the number one thing to do.
100% correct.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, if your girl tells you that she's the good girl in the group,
I got news for you, brother.
Yeah.
That's a fact. So friends should be vetted. I think that's an important conversation to have. I think friends need to be vetted 100%.
Especially men who change on you as soon as they get a woman. If you've been boys with someone for about 10, 15 years, and they find a woman and all of a sudden in a month they start flipping on you, that and they start being disloyal and more loyal to the woman after a month, that's why I would never have beta male friends.
100%.
Because they will never fucking be loyal to you. They will fucking sell you out the river
100%.
as soon as you can. Because if a man is easily influenced by flesh, if a man is weak to flesh, that means he's not going to be loyal. He's just not. He will sell you out for the woman every single time.
He'll sell you out for a Diet Coke.
That's unfortunate.
See it all the time.
I can't even get a Coke in a glass, brother. It's a Mexican Coke? I mean, what the fuck?
It's run-of-the-mill Diet Coke, man. I've seen it happen. It's unreal. They'll do it.
Malik, you've been hearing this conversation. Do we just sound like a whole bunch of fucking Americans to you?
No, they've got a lot of good points there. I'm just listening in and trying to get my bearings. But I think that's the issue right now is that, where are your bearings, What are your principles? How were you brought up, Do you know what a man is? Do you know what a woman is? What's the duties? What are your duties, What's a woman supposed to be doing? What's your wife supposed to be doing? What are you supposed to be doing?
My wife's supposed to be watching the kids.
And that's how
I don't know what other wives are doing. My wives are doing.
So naturally, the wife's supposed to be taking care of home, while you, the man, is out there, working and coming, and you take care of her, and she takes care of you by taking care of home, so you don't have to be worried about what's going on in the back.
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
So once we know what our roles are, what our duties are, then we're okay. But if we start, saying that, okay, I can do what a woman can do, and a woman say, yeah, I can do what a man can do, then the lines become blurry, and you don't know what's going on, and anything goes. And that's where now we don't know. You see, who's supposed to be in control? Is it the man or is it the woman?
Let's flip the script for a second. Hold on, let's flip the script for a second. Let's say the woman is making a lot more money than the man in a relationship. Is he not eventually going to be the beta male bitch?
100%, but that's one of the most common configurations right now. That goes back to my point about corporate land. Women, if I'm not even joking, if you're goofy and you can fuck a woman good right now, a woman will take care of you. She'll buy you gifts, take you on trips, she'll pay for everything. You see these configurations all over the place.
Would you want that though?
Fuck no.
I would never want a fucking woman taking care of me.
No.
Listen, when I was broke, when I was 21, 22, and I had to, my girlfriend had to help me out and stuff like that, I felt like a bitch, dude. I felt like a straight up bitch. And the problem is, if you don't have that self-worth in you, if you don't have those morals in you, be like, yo, this ain't the way. I can't have this broad taking care of me. You know, you're not going to succeed in life. That's at least my opinion.
100%. But so my point was the only two configurations that work are the polar ends of that. It's either that configuration, which is a common one, or you got to go the complete other direction where you lord over the house like a fucking aristocrat. It's literally one of the two.
So you either be like Tate or be like a church.
Pretty much, yeah. The middle's dusted. Dude, the middle is dusted. People don't understand. The middle is so wrecked right now. It's at the extremes always. It's high-end, low-end theory. Low-end dudes are cleaning up. High-end dudes are cleaning up. The middle is completely flat.
Unless you're a woman.
Unless you're a woman.
If you're a woman and you're a 5, you can put up some makeup,
Yeah,
go
you're
on
killing
IG, look like a 7.5. All of a sudden, these guys are offering you trips.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen influencers talk to people on the phone on video call for the first time on streams, talking about, yo, come through, I'll buy you a ticket, this and that. I'm like, wow.
But that's
really?
that's part of the inversion. Have you noticed that very good-looking men date very ugly women?
I don't think women who are extremely good looking want a man who looks better than
That is
them.
correct. That is correct. That's what a lot of these youngsters do not understand is that, so this is part of the inversion. You got a bunch of guys who are looks maxing now. If you notice this, guys are so self-conscious about their appearance. I have a personal theory that the invention of the mirror, like the household mirror, is one of the most evil fucking introductions into culture, because men started preening and primping in front of the fucking mirror, and it created this gaping hole of insecurity that has yet to be filled. Men were never really supposed to know what the fuck they looked like. You know what I mean? Like you had to stoop low into a fucking body of water to see your reflection. Men are salient forces. We're thrusters. We're supposed to inflict what we have inside us onto the world. You know what I mean? Like we're not supposed to contain things in, but this modern society, it's guys just want to be prettier than their fucking girlfriend. Have you noticed this? Guys literally want to be more beautiful than their fucking women.
I remember my dad told me the man's job is to work, have scars, and the woman's job is to look good. I'm totally okay with my woman looking good enough for the both of us. I'm totally okay with that.
Exactly.
Because I don't think men should be pretty boys unless they're 5 white pads. I don't think men should be pretty boys.
Dude, it's a cursed archetype, actually. Seriously, because like the incels should be a little bit easier on themselves, to be honest with you, because the fucking pretty boy archetype, he might be able to fuck 100 chicks a week, but he ain't any closer to getting love than the incel. You know what I mean? Because he's not a man. He's a pretty boy. There's a huge difference. And you are correct 100%, because like you said, a woman never wants a man to outshine her in the beauty department.
I don't know. That is not what I've seen. Just from like interviewing guys on shows, the pretty boys clean up.
They clean up, but they don't get love.
No, they do. Like, I mean, I'll have pretty boys come on, and like some of the guys will be complaining about like modern women, whatever, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Women cook for me all the time. They do.
Yeah,
this
except
stuff.
again, women will make exceptions for certain guys.
Yeah.
You know, a woman who's never cooked before, all of a sudden she finds the man of her dreams. She's in there Betty Crocker all of a sudden.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's what you've seen. I just haven't seen that.
Well, I mean, listen, the way I look at it, I think women are the most manipulative creatures on the planet. I think if a woman is attractive and she can, knows how to just manipulate a little bit, she can be very fucking dangerous, extremely dangerous. And, listen, if you're a girl and you're one of these boss girls and, you're making your money and you're doing your thing, cool. As long as you're not opening your legs to like 50 different men within 2 years or something like that, it's fine, because the problem with women is you get pregnant and then you have those kids. That's the issue.
Talking about microchimerism.
Yeah, I mean, to a point.
I'm sure you could have a field day with that.
Huh?
Microchimerism, where women literally host portions of the DNA of every man they've ever slept with. That DNA never goes away.
Never will change. That's why women actually absorb energy and men actually give energy. That's why. And again, I'm not saying men should be whores either. But there's a difference if a man slept with 100 women and a woman slept with 100 men. There's a difference. Women absorb energy. I always like to point out that, the word mentally ill starts with men, meaning if you sleep with too many men, You become mentally ill. All these bitches who are out here fucking sleeping with 20, 30, 40 freaking guys, they're all bipolar. I mean, you all know whores, every single one of you, and they're usually all bipolar because they slept with too many guys, and just like you said, that energy resonates.
No, there's one show where there was some OnlyFans chicks on, and who said their body count was like, I don't know, 50 to 100, something like that.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I know. And freaking, I remember feeling, I was like, I feel like a demonic presence in the room. And then this one girl was like, can we be friends? I'm like, no. Bitch. I was like, I'm blocking you after the show. I'm like, no, I don't need this. Stay away.
Gary, have you noticed that? Have you noticed this looks maxing culture among men, like these bodybuilding types that are so obsessed with
a lot of them seem like they're gay.
100%.
I mean, I've had these guys attack me, and then you go look on their stream. They're bragging about selling photos to gay men and saying gay men pay a lot of money for photos. It's like, wow.
Oh my gosh, I had a guy on the show that did OnlyFans, like gay stuff. Like he said he was gay for pay. I mean, I think that just makes you gay, but he said he was straight.
Listen. If you're holding your ankles, you're gay. I don't give a damn how masculine you think you are. I don't give a damn about any of this stuff. It's a totally degenerate society. What are some solutions besides repealing 19, which we're both for? What are some solutions?
Is there any other way to like take women's vote away? Well, one, okay. I feel like men are taking a pay cut. I can't prove this, but I really think they're like subsidizing women's jobs because I don't really think we do all that much in the workforce. Like we just go to HR and just whine. That's really all we do. We like go, you remember those TikToks of those girls like working at tech companies and they're like, I had like 2 meetings today. And these girls all made like 6 figures in tech. So to me, it's similar to the WNBA where they take the men's money and give it to the women. I think we need to get rid of all these diversity hires. I just think it's bullshit. I think because it inflates our ego and makes us think we're more important than we are.
You know what's interesting about that fact? The WNBA makes a lot less money than the NBA, and they actually take their money from the NBA. But here's the interesting part. Women bitch. There's more women in America than men. If they actually supported women the same way men support men when it comes to athletics, they'd be making the same amount of money, if not more. Let's not forget, Ronda Rousey was the #1 UFC fighter with pay for a long time.
Yeah.
Not because she was a woman, but because she was the #1 attraction. And that's the beautiful thing about capitalism.
Right.
If you bring in the money, they will give you the money.
Well, and that's what I realized was when I was looking at, because I played women's sports my whole life. So I realized I was like, basically all the men are taking a pay cut. I mean, they don't get asked if they want to, but they really are. Like all the NBA players are taking a pay cut and giving it to the women. And what I realized, I'm like, I bet you the same dynamic is going on in corporate America. I think the men are just getting paid less and they're working more. That's what I think is happening. And because I looked at infrastructure jobs, I'm like, because a lot of times we shit on the average guy. And I think sometimes it's just like, well, we need the average men in order to do what we do. None of us can do what we do without the men running the infrastructure of society. And so my question is, I expanded the definition of infrastructure a little bit to include like truckers, to include, because, some people say it's just plumbing, electricity, but I expanded it slightly. But 45% of men means 1 out of 2 men have infrastructure jobs, where less than 7% of women have infrastructure jobs. And the women that do, it's like 2% of them are police. Do those really count? Like, get the fuck out of there. And so it's like, my question is, why are we making more under 30 if the men are doing the more important jobs? Like, we always talk about these, like, lonely, lost men, and I agree, but it's like, what's causing this? And I think it's a lot of them are really frustrated because I really think they're working more. They're taking the money from the men, giving it to the women to give us these goddamn stupid egos, making us feel so special, when really they're the ones doing the hard jobs.
I can't disagree with anything you said.
And even I was thinking about this, like, I do well, but am I really like, I make a lot of money for someone my age, but it's
Would you put up with a man who made less than you?
Well, I have to. I mean, come on. Like, I'm goated.
No, you don't.
You don't. No, but it's like, in all honesty,
it would be more difficult for you.
Yeah. No, but it's just like the way I look at it is like, okay, my brothers are engineers. They're smarter than me. They make less than me. My brothers are smarter than
OnlyFans girls
me.
make $1 million a month.
Yeah,
the
but
guys paving the road and making $50,000 a year.
Right,
that has nothing to do with intellect.
But that's my point is like just because you make more than a guy, like it's just me monetizing beauty. That doesn't really count as being smart. I mean, I do think I'm smart, you know, for a woman, not for a man. But but in all honesty, it's like I listen to my brothers all the time. They make less than me. Like I know guys will never believe me, but I've always wanted to date an engineer.
Well, I mean, I'm sure
married.
millions of people are going to watch this. They're going to be right in your DMs, bro. When we get one of those arranged marriages.
Yeah.
Right?
But
Malik?
this is what I'm trying to get at, though. We're kind of returning to primal times now, where it's like the male lions are relatively lazy, just chilling. Like, serious, I think we're riding the decline till the wheels come off. Men, I don't know I can name a handful of people that I know that are working hard in America right now. I don't know too many people that are working that hard. Men are pretty lazy. We're just chilling, sunbathing, doing whatever the fuck we do. The women are out hunting, getting the food. Like to bring.
What are they hunting?
What are we?
What are they hunting?
I see it.
I mean, it's like
Hunting men?
you know, you really
No, not hunting men. They're hunting resources. That's what I'm saying. Women are working hard.
Men are
Sex-
resources to women.
Yeah, but sex work is like a more common profession than education now. Like
That makes sense.
that's one of the number one employers of women is education, and now
They're probably
sex
better
work.
at it too.
That's what I'm saying. They're logging more hours at the computer than the guys are.
No, but no, they're not.
The guys
doing
are just clicking
sex work.
Guys are clicking a couple buttons, trading crypto all day.
No, they're not. Not
That's
the
it.
majority. If you look up the breaking down the workforce, no, they're not. Again, 45% of men have infrastructure jobs. So that means you're like driving the trucks. That's not an easy job. The electricity. That's not an easy job. Like, I mean, men run society.
How do we get
No,
those?
but those sectors are fading. No, of course they are. They're slowly disappearing.
That is true.
I mean, yeah,
That
but
is
it's
true.
still. But I'm saying like right now, 45% of men have infrastructure jobs, where only 7% of women do. And I don't think women work more than men. And you can look at that, even the income over a lifetime, it starts to peak after we hit 30. It starts to like flatline for women, where
What
men
is it?
keeps going up.
80% of the debt in this country is by women.
Yeah, well,
It's
and
a joke.
women, so it's like around men. We kind of start the same as men in our 20s, and we're starting to out earn men in some major cities. But like the average man makes 45,000 and peaks at 55 at 70,000. That's like
Average
the
man
average man's
makes
life.
50,000.
I can't.
No,
imagine
no,
that
he
world.
starts in his 20s.
Brother, I make that a week.
Yeah, I
No,
can't
no,
imagine
no,
that
no,
fuck.
no, no. 45,000 in his 20s, and then by the time he's 55, that's when his income peaks at 70K. But I'm saying
70K is the peak.
I launched that yearly salary
Oh, my.
on cockroach racing.
Brother, we'll put that in Dana parlays.
100%.
Well, but we all make our money doing like technology, right? And so it's like, what, we're gonna shit on the guy that's building the building for us, that's doing the electricity, that's doing the plumbing. Like, we need those men to do what we do.
Everything is supply and demand, no matter what it is. Like, for instance, when you go to Russia, there's an abundance of beautiful women. There's literally an abundance of beautiful women. So the value a beautiful woman has there, it's much lower.
And I
Everything's supply and
understand it,
demand.
but what I'm arguing is that those men are doing the hard jobs, but the problem is they're getting paid less because we're subsidizing women's
100%.
roles. And I don't think women are like putting in the hours. I don't think we're really like grinding like that. I think they're just stealing money. And I can't really prove this. I just think it because
They're not really
They're
stealing
siphoning.
it
They're
if the
siphoning.
government's giving it to
well,
them,
it's a
pushing it their
small
way.
percentage of there's a small percentage of men that run these companies that have to give it to the women and transfer the wealth to the women somehow.
Well, if you put them all in prison for stealing, there's your 19th Amendment repeal right there.
Yeah, I think they will have some of them will actually like that a little bit more.
Grand larceny. Put them all behind bars. There you go. Order is restored.
Speaking of that, we know that 4%, I believe 68% of single mothers voted for Joe Biden.
Okay. This has to be skewed.
Fuck Joe.
Does anyone think that election was real still?
No, of course it was stolen.
I mean, I think I actually do know. I can almost say this for a fact. I would put my head in a guillotine and wager this, that Trump won, if you actually counted the true votes, absolutely the largest landslide in world history. But I also think he won California.
That's a little bit
I
of
think
a
he won
stretch.
Cali.
That's a stretch.
If you don't include the dead people, the fucking immigrants, and all the bullshit. I think he won
That's
Cali.
a bit of a stretch.
It might be.
But I will tell you this. When I look at Trump, I basically went in the White House on December 15, 2020, when I was invited. First numerologist in history to ever be invited to the White House. And I basically told Trump's advisors, send him to the Marines, send him to Pennsylvania, send him to Wisconsin, send him to Georgia, and basically do recounts. Because you had to cross the Rubicon at that point. Trump had his position. He could have crossed the Rubicon. If he did that, we would not have a war right now, which is basically a money laundering operation for your brother and Biden. When it comes, imagine all that money your brother is making, and he tells you what? What did he tell you?
He was broke.
He told you he's broke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
broke. Yeah.
He's broke when it comes to you, but he's making billions upon billions in funnels. I can't even imagine this. Could you imagine Barack Obama, who has how many mansions?
5, I think.
5 mansions. But to you, he's broke.
He's stingy as Scrooge.
Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, he's stingy. Yeah, that's all he is. He's all about himself.
Here's a question. Does anybody actually truly believe that a Republican's actually going to win an election again? Because I think it's just rigged till the end of time now. I think it's done.
I don't understand what the difference is going to be in 2024 if they stole it in 2020.
That's what I'm saying.
What is going to be the difference in 2024?
They're just better prepared now.
I just don't understand what the difference is going to be. Like Trump, they stole. I believe you, Trump. I believe you. They stole the election from you. My question is, what is going to be different in 2024?
That's what I'm saying.
I just don't understand.
That's what I'm
What
saying.
is all this? Oh, we're going to do it this time. Would you forget they stole it last time? And the only way Trump can do this is to win by a landslide.
That's right.
I personally believe that
Everybody got it
Republicans have to win by landslides now, because if it's 2, 3, 4, 5 points, they'll cheat. They'll find a way. But if it's 15, 20 points, that's going to be very, very difficult
100%.
to cheat. So I just don't see how a Republican's going to pull that off.
They didn't even factor in the margin correctly this last time. It was hilarious. They just shut it down for 3 days to catch up. So how anybody is still thinking that Republicans are going to come hard charging, blow torches at the door, battering rams, and make this thing happen, it's a joke at this point.
That's a problem. We're too nice. I don't even know, I don't even really know what happened with the stealing the election. I just know I went to bed and we were winning, and it was my birthday, and I thought we were going to win, and then I woke up and we lost.
Yeah.
And I was pissed. I was like, what? It was my birthday. You know what I mean?
I made a tweet.
Karma, Gary. Tell her about her karma.
What goes around comes around. I remember I made a tweet before, I think it was August 2020, that Trump would win and they would steal the election from him. And what do you know? That account was suspended right after the election. Shocking.
Shocking.
Absolutely shocking that they would suspend my account. It wasn't once, it wasn't twice. 18 freaking times they suspended my account. And by the way, there's a lot of people who like to say I'm some kind of connected with some kind of Zionist or Rothschilds because I'm blowing up with numerology and stuff like that. I'm a Jew and Chase shut me down. I want to make that statement again. I am Jewish and Chase shut me down right after I went to the White House to visit President Trump. So don't give me this bullshit like Jews don't get it too. If it doesn't, none of that shit matters. If you're a conservative, they're coming for you. That's my opinion. And I want to thank Elon Musk, because I believe by him buying Twitter and making it go this much more right, he has pulled IG. He has pulled TikTok a little bit more to the center. That's my opinion, because let me tell you now, I can get away with a lot of stuff now on IG. I probably would have got suspended for 2 years ago. And the only obvious common denominator is Elon Musk.
I agree. You guys know the cycle of strife, right? Cycle of strife, good times create weak men, men. Okay.
Yes.
I believe Gen Z are the strong men created by the bad times.
Generation Z.
I do. Because I think
like 25% of these guys consider themselves.
I get that, but
Sorry, that's funny.
get that. 25%. So the other 75%,
They're going to be dogs. They're going to be.
these are the fucking Rottweilers
Really?
that are gonna get us out of this. They're gonna build the tech. that's going to evacuate people like us who are getting our bank account shut down. Because these guys are all they're all experimental. They're fucking throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. They're the crypto kids. There's the social media kids. They are going to build the decentralized banking system, 100% Gen Z, that helps you and me out.
Maybe there's a Steve Jobs. Maybe there's a Steve Wozniak within Generation Z.
Right now.
You know, right
They're
now.
watching this
who
podcast.
are watching, and they're going to build something, and they'll make you look like you're basically $1 million right now because you're saying what it is.
I'm going to look like Nostradamus.
But most of these guys are soft as fucking hell. Dana White said it best. He said, if your kid is even a little bit of a savage, he's going to run through these fucking beta males like never before, because there's never been more single mothers than there is right now.
100%.
They're going to run through them. So yes, the divide between the alpha and the beta is getting woo, and that's when society breaks. You need this bottom half to have women.
Yeah.
You need the bottom half to have women, to have kids, so they can basically keep society going. The people who don't like mass immigration, the people who say shut down the borders, well, women have to have kids.
Yeah,
you have to, once women don't have kids, and what I mean by don't have kids is having abortions every 9 months and stuff like that. Once women don't have kids, all of a sudden you have two choices. You either let the borders open, you let the immigrants in to fill in that vacuum, to buy into the tax system, or you do like Japan. You know you're going to have an older demographic, you just shut down immigration, don't let anyone in, and slowly but surely your society collapses. That's what's going to happen.
100%.
You got one of two choices.
So I'm an accelerationist. I 100% am all for this whole gender wildness, because I truly do believe that all of these fat feminists with lurid blue hair, pierced nipples, doing crazy shit, I think it's a cry for help. I know for a fact it's a cry for help. And what I think is going to happen is we're in a correction phase. Things are going to get so accelerated and so out of control that these women are essentially, because they can't say this verbally, right? But they can communicate it in subtext through their behavior, through the fucking, you know what aposematism is? Mm-hmm. Like poisonous frogs in the rainforest, they're fucking lurid bright colors to show you they're poisonous. Mm-hmm. Well, that's why these chicks dye their hair and get all tatted. They're telling you how poisonous they are, right?
Why would they do that?
Because it's like they're wearing their trauma, right? They're embroidering their trauma on their body. It's like a way of like,
they're seeking help.
Well, resting bitch face.
They're basically seeking help.
100%. It's a cry for help. So my point is, in this accelerated,
who's going to save them though?
Well, that's my point. It's all going to crash and burn, and then what's going to spawn out of this is in a new iron guard of men who are going to come in with an iron fist, probably covered in a velvet glove, and they're going to fucking smash all of this shit to a billion little pieces, and it's going to have to be rebuilt. And then every order is going to be restored. Because at this rate, you can't fix this. We're too deep in now. This is not a reversible thing.
I agree.
We can only go forward, right? It's a forward escape, as the French say. You cannot go backwards. You got to escape forward. So we got to run this bitch into the ground, ride the decline. And then that new iron guard of men, the most masculine force of men you have ever fucking seen, are about to be birthed and spawned. And they're going to blossom, and they are going to annihilate this whole feminist thing. But it's what the feminists want. They want fucking a strong, powerful force to come in and obliterate.
I agree, but the only strong, powerful force I see right now, and anyone can correct me if they think I'm wrong, Muslim men. That is the only strong force I see that's not capitulating.
Yeah, well,
and again, I'm not Muslim. I'm never gonna pray to Allah.
I'm
Sorry,
not either.
brother, but I'm just stating fact.
You can give me
You have
100
two choices right now. You either go to the LGBT or you go to the Muslims. It's that simple.
It's because they infiltrated the churches in the 1900s because they realized they could have more power and influence. The non-denominational Christian churches got it the worst. But
who allowed that to happen, though?
Who allowed what to happen? Well, I mean, I would say it was a small... I can't remember which family it was. I'd have to remember the writing, but it was basically a small percentage of like families that had a lot of money, because in the Industrial Revolution, that was like when there was the biggest wealth gap. And so they realized the best way to influence the population was through the churches, because people listened to the churches. Okay. So the non-denominational churches got it the worst, but they also started funding like seminaries. That's where we got all the gay priests from.
I get it, but they tried the same stuff with Islam. It didn't work as well.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm trying to say. They allow that to happen. Like, for instance, if you go to Christians in Russia, Poland, Romania, you try to talk shit about Jesus or all this other stuff, you're probably going to get your ass whooped. You do that in America, they don't give a damn. You can make fun of Jesus. You can do whatever you want here in America.
Yeah.
They're not going to, but in those countries, they actually still care because they haven't been corrupted. And I'm going to tell you why. In Poland, in Russia, in all those countries, feminism is very, very low. Once you have, see, the people who are low IQ, in my opinion, they need something to believe in. They need something to fear.
I just wonder, and I'm not going to say this definitively, but I kind of wonder if it's coming to the Muslims too and to Russia too, because like even like my employees that work for me that are African, they're all say like, 'cause I always figured like it was a little better there, but they're like, no, the young women are just the same. And then I watched like an interview in Russia of them interviewing like young women about feminism and pay equality, and it's still coming because social media, unless they ban social media, all women are so influenced by social media.
Putin passed a law a couple years where he repealed domestic violence laws. So I don't really think that feminism, maybe what you're talking about is they're all still in the first wave of feminism, which had some merit. The first wave had a little bit of merit.
No, they were.
You don't think they had any merit whatsoever?
Not really. No, I think that they were. One, like women didn't even like them back then. If you read the anti-suffragettes had more supporters than the suffragettes. Like they were regarded as like weirdos in the 1800s. Women didn't even like these women. Like there was a writing, I can't remember the lady's name, but in the 1800s talking about how they had to like sell this better to women because women had too good of lives back then. For them to sell them on feminism. That's why, like, I don't think it really had merit. I think women, most of history, have had better lives than men.
I think that, listen, I'm a numerologist. I believe in that wholeheartedly. And even though I think women as a whole are much less intelligent than men, there's the number 7. And, 7 is the number of the genius. And when I look at women who are born in the 7th, 16th, 25th, they're just as intelligent as men. Well, and again, it's a rare exception. Like, for instance, there's not many female bodybuilders in the world. So they're stronger than most average men, but a male bodybuilder is always going to be stronger than a female. So there is some exceptions, but they're rare.
But it's a misconception that women couldn't be influential in society. The first female property owner in the United States was in the 1600s, 400 years ago. Like women were not oppressed then; they're not oppressed now. This idea, like the first female millionaire was late 1800s, and I think there's arguably one quicker. But I don't want to quote that.
Does she get her money from a divorced husband?
No, well,
inherited.
I think there was a self-made one quicker, but there was one of the first feminists that was funding all this stuff. Like she was like the first rich divorcee. It was in the 1800s. I wish I could remember all these names off the top of my head.
My question is, why should there be an issue of feminism? If you're a woman, you're a woman.
Yeah.
You're a man, you're a man. What's all this feminism and so forth? I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Well, I think that evil...
It's to destroy society.
I think that evil happens when you disrupt the natural order of the world. And it's weird. I'm not like crazy religious, but I guess this is like a religious like thought. But it's like I think the natural order is God, men, women. And I think it's really interesting how we can like... I don't know, almost say our true feelings about things just in our language. Like if you tell a man he's acting like a woman... That's an insult. Why would it be an insult? Because women are below men. But a woman that acts like a man almost like can make money and almost. I mean, I don't want to say.
I think you're going to get like 10,000 marriage proposals right after this podcast.
Well, and I'm
She's
not
saying all the good things.
Well, and I'm not even saying like I do it perfectly, but I think evil happens when you confuse everyone on the natural order of the world, and I think it's confusing. Like I'll give you an example. Like I spent the first half of my 20s trying to be be a volleyball player. And really, I spent, you know, my primary reproductive years chasing after a career that makes $0. And it actually, I looked into it, it actually messes up your hormones and makes you more masculine. That's why you see so many lesbian, like, soccer chicks and lesbian basketball chicks. It literally makes you more masculine and makes you into a man. And so it's like, you know, I think a lot of times all of these institutions
You don't think
here.
women should be athletes?
I have a hard, I don't know, because I really did love it. I really loved playing, but I do think sometimes, like, things that maybe as a whole, like, I see what happens in volleyball, and really, like, it's run by a lot of feminists, and really, like, you play until you're 32 and then you retire. You know what I mean? Like, if you take volleyball to the extreme, like, you know, it's sad because I really do love the sport, but if I look at the outcomes for a lot of women that play, they're not good. And it's like, I think there's just a lot of institutions that are confusing us on the natural order of the world and trying to make women, like, that is a masculine thing. That's turning a woman into a man.
By the way, I sincerely believe all women will get their best natural physique just from walking. There is nothing inside a gym that will improve a woman's physique more than walking. 10,000 steps a day.
What about running?
Same thing.
Okay, just making sure.
But the gym culture in women is very bizarre to me.
Are most of the women who go to the gym pretty much every day hoes?
100%.
All right, so I mean, they're basically looking for a new hookup every single day.
If you spend all your time at the gym and you're a woman, who's taking care of the children?
I mean, that's a good question.
Well,
And these children,
There's some women who don't want to have babies because they want to ruin their bodies. And by the way, kids destroy women's bodies. I'm not going to lie about that. But, you know, listen, that's what you guys are for. That's what you guys are for. You're for the make kids.
And the earlier you have kids, I guess it's easier to, like, bounce back from it. Like, there's some hormone or something when you have kids younger where it's
what
like,
age?
Easier.
What do you think that's a good age?
Well,
and by the way, it can't.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I didn't follow it, but I've heard it's like before the age of 25, if you have kids, like, it's easier to come back from. But after, like, I don't know the science behind it, so don't quote me. This is just something I've heard.
By the way, to answer your question, because I did want to touch on this about, you said, why does feminism, where did it come from? I truly believe
Rockefellers.
Dude, I think feminism spawned, I think all the issues with women are truly men's fault fundamentally.
Talk to me. Why?
I do. I think it's a man's
Is it
fault
because men were so weak that they gave women the right to vote?
100%.
Is that it?
100%.
Okay. Yep.
Well, the deciding vote on giving women the right to vote did it because his mom told him so. But the problem is it's a very small percentage of men making these decisions for all men.
He was a Norman Bates type of fella.
Yeah, because his mom was a suffragette. Again, like, the biggest lie we tell them, like, the waves of feminism, it's so not true. Like, these women were not liked. Like, there's a reason we burnt witches at the stake. There's a reason, like, witches were performing abortions. That's why they burnt these bitches. Witches were feminists. Like, they literally burnt these women in villages.
The fact that you brought up abortion, I want to give my stance on abortion. I believe when a woman has a child, it's not that woman's body anymore. It is the child's body just as much as the woman. The difference is the woman's the bus driver. She's the one that decides what I'm doing, what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, what I'm sleeping. But it's the baby's body too. They're just in the back seat. So if you're going to be a woman out here who says, it's my body, my choice, listen, you best believe in karma. You best fucking believe in karma. Because I'm going to tell you something. A lot of women who basically had abortions got breast cancer right after. That's what I call karma.
You know what's crazy? Women have been killing their kids since the dawn of time. Even in the 1800s, like, it wasn't uncommon for women to kill their children. I've talked to some historians that say it was like 10%, 20%. And I think it goes back in like the caveman, or like when people moved in like groups of like 40, I can't remember what era, but they basically, if they had more than 2 kids, they would slow the whole pack down. So they would just, women killing kids.
Instinctually.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just our thing.
To the people listening, you know, we've basically told guys You know, it's going to be a tough ride for you. It really is. But let me just give you guys some advice. The last thing you want to do is have a child when you're about 17, 18 years old. No matter who you are, you're always going to be in your enemy year in astrology. It's 17, 18. What you want to do is basically do what I did. Have kids under your own sign. If I'm born in the snake year, and you best believe my first child is born in the snake year. Because I wanted someone that I could teach this stuff to. If you're born in a certain year like a dragon, you should have a dragon child. If you just apply a little of this knowledge to your everyday life, problems go away. I mean, guys, I don't have these problems of women cheating on me. I don't have these problems of women fucking bossing me around and doing all this other stuff. I don't have any of these problems. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at you guys like you're fucking morons. That's the way I look at all these guys who start telling me about their women problems. And it doesn't matter if you're fucking broke or an alpha or whatever. If you can't hold down your woman, you fail. And I'm going to tell you guys something. 2016 was when I really woke up to the betaization of males. Because you had men out there saying, vote Donald Trump, vote Donald Trump. They'll go up on podiums, vote Donald Trump. And then their wife will cancel out their vote by voting for Clinton. Their daughter will cancel out their vote by voting Clinton. Let me tell you bastards something. If you can't convince your own fucking family members, shut the fuck up. Because you don't need to convince anyone else. Convince your family first. All you men, I'm talking to you. Remember talking about weak men? That's who the fuck I'm talking to right now. Don't go out there on spaces. Don't be making tweets. Don't be making reels on Instagram saying vote Trump. Go talk to your wife and talk to your daughter and make sure they don't fucking cancel out your vote.
You know, that's what, my personality test, if I take it, it says I'm very liberal. I'm very high in the trait openness. Like if a liberal gets a dog, the dog will be more friendly. If a conservative gets a dog, it's going to protect them. There's certain personality traits that come with liberal and conservative. And it's funny because in college, they just are programming you to be a liberal. And every time I would have like a little bit of a liberal idea, I would come home and I would tell my dad this like silly idea I learned. And he would just sit down with me and break down slowly why I was an idiot. And that's how I became a conservative, Shout out, Dad.
Because you had a strong male figure in your life, and he turned you conservative, correct?
Yeah,
because you would have been a liberal without your dad.
Yes.
Are you guys listening?
Correct, yeah.
Are you guys listening? You need a strong male figure. No bullshit.
I want to decipher the term strong, because I think a lot of men truly don't understand what a strong
I'm not talking about going to the gym.
Exactly. What a strong male leadership even looks like. To me, I think it's sort of this effortlessness. Like this red pill thing of all these guys that want to be super fucking dominant. They want to clash horns, lock horns with their girl all day, tell her what to do every second of the day. I think if you awaken the soft power, because look, this is the reality, okay? I do believe women have more power in relationships in the sense that they have the soft power. Men have hard power, women got the soft power.
Explain what soft power is.
Soft power means that she has all the psychological games. You know what I mean?
Like we bat our eyes.
So they're better at manipulation.
Of course. Sneakiness and cunningness. Mm-hmm. That's a woman's game.
They can't overpower you. They got to do something.
They can't overpower you. You got to do something. But you don't want to awaken a woman's soft power in a relationship, because women are far more irrational and they will burn every fucking thing to the floor and have a full disregard. They will not give a fuck if you push them far enough. So my question to you was, when you say strong male leadership, because to me, the winner in any situation is always just chilling. That's the definition of a winner. A winner is always just cruising, not really working too hard, making it look a little bit effortless. The loser is always chasing the winner. So what is the definition for you of like a strong man? Because to me, when I think of a dominant male, I don't think of some motherfucker who constantly has to clash into his woman all the time. I think that's actually beta. So what do you see as strength?
Well, sorry, can I one thing?
Yeah.
Because doesn't that mean you're on the same level if you're arguing with her on the time? Like if like a boss doesn't argue with an employee, he tells her what to do.
Unless he gets out of line.
Yeah, but you're not going to go back and forth with them for hours.
No.
Or like, you know what I
No.
mean?
No.
Like,
I'm-
it's like kind of like if you're going back and forth and he's arguing with this chick all the time, doesn't that just make them on the same
There's
level?
got to be some checks and balances.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to have a whole bunch of savages.
Yeah, we got quite a few of those. But when
Because human beings, they want to do whatever they want to do. You know, you have free will. You can do whatever. Like,
Allah gave it to us, right?
yeah, you have free will. But there's got to be checks and balances. And that's why there's the law.
Man-made laws or
There's
God-made
man-made
laws.
laws, and then there's also God-made laws.
Which are more important?
God-made laws.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah. So you got to have some checks and balances, and you got to know which is the check and which is the balance.
God, the Bible and the Quran also say put God in front of your family. Do you put God in front of your family?
Yes,
I don't. I never will.
I do.
How can you put a figure that you've never actually met above your own flesh and blood?
It's a belief system.
Okay.
Yeah. You got
You?
the people who are brought up eating other people.
What's the question?
And that's normal for them.
Do you put God above your own family?
Yeah.
Personally, I do not.
I do not either.
No.
You already answered that question, I believe, right? Do you put God in front of your
I
own
have
family?
I have a really interesting like view on this, and this is just how I think. I think that God is like in every man, and the devil is in every woman.
You something else, bro.
No, okay, hear me out, hear me out. Who did the serpent talk to? He talked to Eve. And I think that, like, again, the natural order of the world is God, men, women, children. And I think the devil uses women to get to the men. So, and I think if women do not submit to the natural hierarchy of the world, they get the devil in them. And this was kind of a red pill where I realized that it's not daddy issues, it's mostly mommy issues when you get to the root of it. Most like people like Kanye in front of our eyes, right? He thought he had daddy issues, but he really had mommy issues. That's a really common theme. And I think a lot of times the devil like uses women to abuse the men and get to the men. And I think guys, when left to their own devices, really they're benevolent. They're benevolent. Think about it. They didn't have to let us vote. They didn't have to let us do anything. They could be raping us every
They
single
were
day.
manipulated.
No, but wait. But the thing is, if men get too out of line, they just kill each other. Like if you go around raping all these bitches, then some other guy's gonna kill you. Look at the Aztec Empire, right? The Aztec Empire was doing all the human sacrifice and crazy. Cortez came over with 400 men, got all the tribes together to fuck them up and took them all down.
Have you ever heard the term "восемь до восемьдесят"?
No, I don't know.
The translation from Russian is 8 to 80. Ever heard that term?
No.
That was very common in World War II after the Russians invaded Berlin. They said 8 years old to 80-year-old grandmothers. They did not care. See, that's what happens when men lose wars, when your men are weak. Women start getting raped. Because that's exactly what happened when the Nazis lost and Germany was being taken over by Russian troops. They did not care. They raped anything that walked down 2 feet. Women were specifically cutting themselves with knives so they would look ugly, so they would not get raped. This is the reality of the situation when women have weak men around.
Well, and what I'm not saying that men don't do terrible things or like men don't become evil at times, but usually those men were raised again by women. And so I think they get the spirit of the devil from the women. and usually if they get too evil, another group of men will come and take them out. Usually.
I like this take because I think women are adept. Women in a relationship with a man, they are like hounds. They will sniff out weakness. A woman will break any man's system, okay? That's what I believe. Women are system breakers. They're natural system breakers. If you're a man running a system on a woman, running game, running red pill, being toxic on purpose, trying to be unavailable, withdraw attention, all that bullshit, give it enough period of time and you will 100% crack under a woman's shit test. Because women, I do believe in a relationship, and this is kind of going in line with this is in lockstep with the evil component. I don't see it as evil because I see it as nature. And I honor nature above anything else. But I do think women are designed to constantly try to break and whittle a man down to nothing. And if he can withstand those tests constantly, he gets all the spoils and the riches.
I would tend to agree with you. I think that
Because if you-
sometimes a man has everything going for him. He's the top of the world. Everyone loves him. He's famous as hell. Has all the money in the world. But when he gets back home, blah 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 blah. Always arguing. Always. And here's the thing. I want men to understand this. You can't please a woman. You don't try to please women. It doesn't matter what you give them. Over time, it's never going to be enough.
Exactly.
It's just the reality of the situation.
This is why I was saying you cannot fake being an alpha, because a woman will break your system. Yeah. It's going to happen. At some point, long enough time scale, a woman will break out your system and snuff it out. They are the masters at it. So none of this shit can be faked. And to your point,
it can be fake for a little bit, though.
100%. But here's the thing: if you trick a woman into loving you or liking you through game or somebody you're not, right? A persona. Let's say the persona wins the woman. When she tells you she loves you, you don't believe her. You can't believe her because you know.
If she knew the truth.
Exactly. So these guys end up self-sabotaging before they get discovered because they have that, what do you call it, imposter syndrome. So that's why these guys abandon the relationship, because they're like, they'll self-destruct. Guys will come to me all the time. They're like, Brute, I'm in love with this chick. Why can't I stop destroying the relationship? I'm like, this is one of those game guys. He tricked her, and he doesn't believe that it's built on a solid foundation. So he's got to bounce before she's inevitably going to find out that he was full of shit anyway. Okay. That's a common thing.
Let's move the subject to a piece of garbage like Adam 22. When this guy actually pimps out his own wife, at what level do we say, yo, I'm all for chasing clout, as everyone in this room is, but there's levels you don't go. There's lines you don't cross. I mean, in all honesty, what's this guy gonna do? Start pimping out his daughter when she's of age? I mean, this is absolutely disgusting. How do we stop people in society from doing things like this? Because what happens is, I don't give a fuck about Adam 22, but he influences a lot of people. And now people are gonna be like, yo, if this guy's doing it, why can't I do it? And you know what the most interesting thing about it is? Every time I talk to people about open relationships, it was always the woman. It was always the woman that said, yo, let's try this. And at Adam 22 situation, it was the woman who actually did it. She's like, yo, let's do this. I had a podcast with a whole bunch of females, and one of them was in an open relationship. And I asked her flat out, whose idea was it? Mine. It's always the women who wants to push the envelope sexually if she's not being pleased properly.
Yeah, well, and most family dysfunctions, in my opinion, start from the women. It's either a guy that was raised by a woman.
I'm gonna have to get you armed security after this, bro.
No, I'm telling you, and even like this is a hot take. A lot of the alcoholic, drug addicted men were driven that way because a woman drove them crazy. And that's a lot of them.
So you're telling me you believe a lot of men started using alcohol and drugs because the woman drove them to it?
Mm-hmm. I agree with that because alcohol, I mean, a lot of these drugs that there's actually, Carl Jung said that men drink to become women and women drink to become men. I believe that's interesting. I believe that's very interesting.
Yeah, and I'm not saying some people were just, I have a cousin that was a crackhead. He was just a crackhead, but he was raised by a domineering mother. So, a lot of times, like when you see like a dysfunction in the family, and you can tell, like, okay, before Will Smith and Jada, it came out that like they were all like fucked up, before all that came out. Remember, they were like the perfect couple. Everyone loved Will and Jada Smith. Mm-hmm. I knew they were fucked up because I looked at the kids and I was like, normal kids raised by normal parents shouldn't be like that. Because I was like, there's no way in hell I'd be doing whatever the fuck, the open relationship shit. I'm like, something's off, and it's usually the mother's dysfunction. Because again, I really think men naturally have God in them. Like, men naturally want to do the right thing. Even when you guys kill, you kill for a reason. Now, sometimes it's a stupid reason, but usually it's like respect. Like, people used to die all the time because of like disrespect. You know, like and honor, like their brother. You know, if someone fucks with your boy, you're going and fighting. Like, women, we're conniving. Like, look at the difference between frat houses and sorority houses. Sorority houses, like, I can still tell you the bitch I hated in high school. This was 10 years ago.
That's women.
Men, on the other hand, like, we hold on to things. We don't let things go. It's just like what it is. Men will go back to their frat houses and love everyone. Like, they'll come back. They might get too drunk or maybe get into a stupid fight. But, like, it's like the dynamic is a lot more family-like than a sorority house.
That's one thing I've noticed about women. Like, for instance, if men hate each other, they can still respect each other. As a man, if I don't like you, I can still respect your accomplishments. Oh God, if a woman fucking hates you, she's gonna hate the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you say things, the way you work. She's gonna hate everything about you. That is one of the biggest differences between men and women that I've seen. Men can actually deal and actually respect people they don't like. Women,
You know what else I've noticed? Guys will like fight, and then like it's weird. They'll like get into a fight, and then after they're like, "Cool,
yeah,
you took a punch
all the time because you respect the guy."
Yeah, where it's like if two girls get into a fist fight, they're never gonna talk again. Like that's or even like just a verbal fight. You know what I'm like? Never again.
Yeah.
No, we're made differently.
Yeah,
We're made different. That's why you can't have a man trying to be a woman and be a woman.
Oh, they're trying.
You know.
No, but her point was fascinating because she's saying that women started the cascade of abuse in men and men getting fucked up, right? So
I agree.
They're turning to these compounds, these drugs like alcohol, etc. Those are there's a feminine spirit infused in there. So they get abused by the mom, and then they turn to the drugs to get abused again and replay the trauma.
and that's another thing.
Makes
Women
sense.
are more likely. They're the most likely person to abuse the kid. I think maybe stepfather's up there too, but like the mom's the most likely one to kill the infant.
I'll push back. After the when women obviously kill with abortion, but after the child is born,
First year infants.
Listen, I've heard a lot of stories about men molesting kids. Not too many of women actually doing stuff like that.
Molesting, it's more likely the stepdad,
Don't disagree.
which is typically what the woman's but it's the woman's choice.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. So the woman allowed that evil to come in the house.
Yes.
By being promiscuous and stuff like that.
Right. So no, I said the woman is the most likely. I didn't say sexually abused. I said abuse. So the woman is the most likely one to abuse. And stepdad's up there too. But yeah.
I think the problem is women, you know, when you're having sex, it's the man on top of the woman. And I think they have a thing about that. You know, every time I get into a thing with one of my wives, I tell them, I didn't create myself to be a man. I didn't create you to be a woman. But that's how the creator made it. So you just deal with it.
You lie on your back and I'll take care of business,
Yeah,
right?
that's
I feel it.
I think they have a thing with, you know, being, you know, the weaker. I mean, you being on top of them.
Unless it's your brother.
They don't like that.
Unless it's your brother. I listen. I got every single penny I own on this planet that Michelle would whoop Barack's ass.
She probably is the one who's pulling the strings.
Back up the Brinks truck. I'm going in on that bet right now.
And we're talking about one of the biggest players in the world right now.
Literally.
Right.
Michelle Obama's minus 800. The line just opened.
800, 8,000, brother. What the fuck?
The line just opened at Reno. Let's go.
It's moving up every couple seconds.
Every fucking second.
You know, speaking of gambling, brother, listen, I gamble sometimes between like 10, 20K a day. I do parlays. You know, people look at me like I'm like one of the biggest gamblers they know. Brother, I'm doing peanuts compared to what the fuck you're doing. You showed me parlays that you put like 100,000, 200, 300 down and hit like for 4 or 5 million. I've actually seen those with my own eyes. Yep. How, brother, if I lose 10, 20,000, I'll go to sleep like a baby. That shit's not gonna, but if I lose like $500,000, oh boy, I'm not gonna sleep too well. How the fuck do you put that much money down and still sleep at night. I mean, listen, and you're talking to somebody who does this too.
Dude, if I lose, I sleep even better at night.
Explain that.
Because I know I'm going on the warpath tomorrow. To
How long you been gambling, brother?
Forever. Since I was like 17.
17?
Yeah. It's been my profession for almost 20 years. It's all
Tell
I've
us
done.
Tell us now about your biggest win and your biggest loss.
Biggest win. I won 11 million in 24 hours.
11 million doing what?
Went on an absolute despicable, heroic, statistical
Parlays?
impossibility tear. Yeah. Just parlaying.
2, 3, 4 teamers?
Absolute, the aggression meter was through the roof. The book was, I was literally terrified. My host actually called me and he said, the back office called us. They said they have never seen aggression from a player like this in the history of the book. They said, when you bet with us, it's not even like you're trying to take our money. It's like you're betting against the world. They were like, who the fuck are you? Like, what kind of animosity drives you to bet these numbers with us?
I'm
just fearless.
my best run was I mean, obviously nothing compared to your numbers. I made about 1.2 million in about 3 weeks in Atlantic City. They kicked me out of resorts.
Oh, yeah.
They literally kicked me out. Like, you know, if you go spend money in a hotel, you know, and spend the type of money I'm spending, they usually give you a room and, you know, I'm there for a while. I just call up, yo, give me an extension. One day I call up, they're like, oh, yeah, you got to go. I'm like, what do you mean I got to go? They're like, you got to go.
How is that legal?
Yeah, they like
They don't like winners.
They unperson you like Stalin. You just get unpersoned, erased from photographs. It's unreal.
I beat them so bad because they used to let you move the over/under lines. Could you imagine lines at 8.5 and you can move it down to 6.5? And I just murdered them. They changed their whole system because of me.
Of course. But here's the thing with my style. My style is so dangerous because I can go the opposite way just as quickly. You know what I mean? Like I can make 11 mil, but I could torch that 11 mil same day, and I will be unfazed because I'm trained now. I've been doing this for such a long time. I'm very, very, very cold-blooded towards it.
How many times have you lost $1 million in a day?
Probably more than there are fucking bacteria in this room.
Okay. So you do understand that most people will never see $1 million.
Most people will never see the kind of money that I won in a 24-hour period. So that's my point, is like the way that I'm living, and I'm like shedding lives. I'm literally shedding. I'm living, the last year, I feel like I've lived 100 years. I'm writing a book about it right now. I'm literally chronicling the experience that I had the last year, the wisdom that I have learned from the hardcore risks I have taken. Dude, we're not even just talking money. Like, it gets to the point when you're putting up $5 million bets, that's a blood, stake, bone investment.
What do you do when you put $5 million bets? Are you looking at your phone? Are you looking at the TV? Smoking squares 24/7? What are you doing? Because that's got to be a lot of stress, brother.
Gatling gunning cigarettes in each hand. Sometimes I have 2 lit in each hand. I'm Gatling gunning them. And for sure, yeah, I'm pacing, but I like sports betting because I can live a normal life. I don't have to sit in a dungeon and a fucking poker table for 10 hours a day. That's
You don't like to grind that shit.
No, fuck no. Place a sports bet, go take a nap, go walk with my girl, try to have a nice day. But yes, of course it's stressful.
When you have a bad day, like for instance, if I lost like 20, 30K, my wife can't tell. I'll be stone cold. You won't be able to tell anything.
Oh, my girl can tell.
So if you lose like $1 million, you show it, right?
Door hinges are being ripped off.
Oh, okay. I got you.
But then they're being replaced.
With better ones.
With better ones.
I got you. Gambling's haram.
I don't gamble. No, I don't gamble.
Gambling's haram.
It's haram.
Okay. Is gambling haram or is losing haram? Because I got to tell you, as a gambler, I've had ups and downs. I've had months where I lost 100K. I have months that I won 400K. I've had that. I'm a winner. That man right there is a winner. We've made money gambling. Why is that haram? Explain that.
Because it's in the Quran.
Well, I understand that, but is there a little bit deeper than just it's in the Quran?
I'm not trying to understand and
You just follow God's law and that's it.
He's got the wisdom. He knows he's the one.
But don't you believe, as a logical man, that if you're actually good at something, and you make money at it, how can it be bad if it's not hurting anybody?
I don't have an answer for that.
I just think losing's haram.
Losing's wrong. But we're all speculators to some degree, right?
Of course, like for instance, when they talk about religion and they talk about speculation is bad, and astrology and numerology are bad. I mean, BlackRock and Vanguard, these are financial institutions that have like $8 trillion. They have a software program called Aladdin, and this thing speculates. That's what it does, and they make money on this speculation. And a lot of Saudi royal families, Muslims, are in there. So why is it gambling is haram when it comes to sports, but not the stock market? I always found that very interesting, that they would say, oh, if you put money on the Knicks, oh, that's bad. But if you gamble on the stock market or gamble in the housing market, oh, that's kosher.
Which is arguably more rigged, by the way.
100% by the Federal Reserve.
Well, the fact that you can make 15 million and then lose 15 million, it cancels out everything. So, what's the point?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you're up a couple shekels more than you lost.
So.
Just not for you, huh, brother?
No, I don't gamble,
Pearl, you ever gamble?
Kate, not really. I think I've done it 3 times in my life, maybe 4.
Guys, listen, you can be one of those people who are very close with your woman. You can be one of those people who talk to your woman about everything. Don't tell your woman about gambling stuff. They don't want to hear that shit, man. You talk about masculizing a woman, giving her stress. Yeah, that's gonna have a woman start gambling fucking parlays. You're gonna see how masculine she gets real quick.
The way I look at it is that I don't have to gamble to be with you. You see?
There you go, brother.
I didn't have to lose 15 million to be with you.
There you go, brother. By the way, I'm his agent now.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's switch gears because we have a lot to talk about, and I think we have about another hour to do it. This economy, to me, is pretty much you either can make money through the computer or you can't. You're either doing a 9-to-5 job, you're going to college, you're doing that racket, or you can be a content creator and try to make it that way. But I'm going to be honest, it's just like anything else. I mean, how many people want to be like Pearl? There's only one. How many people want to be like you? There's only one. I pretty much handicap my industry. I own my place. I own my fucking field. No one listening to this even knows the name of another numerologist. That's a fact. But not everyone's going to be able to make it with computers, and I'm getting really worried about AI. I really believe that what you talked about, that little wrecking point, is coming real close, because sooner or later these AIs are going to put everyone out of business. Truck drivers, how do you have a capitalistic society if the very bottom doesn't have income? I mean, that's the reason slavery was ended. The slavery it wasn't ended in 1860s because the white man picked up a conscience. Slavery was ended because they needed capitalism. How do you have capitalism and slavery? You don't have it, because a lot of people don't understand this, but during those times in the South, 95% of the white folks during slavery were poor as hell too. How are you going to have a job that pays a living wage when you have slave labor to compete with?
Well,
that's why they stopped slavery, because they couldn't have a capitalistic society with slavery. That's why it stopped. Mm-hmm. You need a viable middle class for capitalism to work.
So I wonder if we're going to start getting things handmade again. Do you know what I mean? Because it's the quality of tables, everything that we have has gone down. This is just, I was thinking
that's because of free trade.
What?
See, that's because of free trade. See, what happens is, back in the day, say for instance, the American workers were at the steel plant, and it cost them $10,000 to make a certain piece of equipment.
Right.
Well, all of a sudden, the people in China, the people in Vietnam are actually doing the same stuff for 3,000-4,000. So all of a sudden, all these people are like, well, wait a second, let's fire these Americans and start outsourcing everything. That has a trickle-down effect. Sooner or later, the people at the middle start losing their jobs, and all of a sudden, the economy starts becoming like this.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just wondering if maybe I had a couple theories. I was like, well, maybe a lot of women's jobs will be eliminated. And then we'll be back. Like they're already taking
the oldest profession in the world is not going to get eliminated anytime soon.
Oh, what are you talking about? That cam work, the AI chicks, the sex bots, they're coming.
Yeah, but I refuse to believe that.
That's very by the way.
What's
because
that?
Anybody who is going to indulge in the AI girlfriend is gay, because those are built by men. Men are building products that are fondling you. That is.
Brother, there's men out there who have girls who are getting run into 4 or 5 times a week, and then they're going down on them. So you want to talk about sexual behavior, bro? That's right there. You're essentially, let's talk about Logan Paul. His girlfriend has been around, or the wife that's going to take his bag in a couple years has been around with Leonardo DiCaprio, a whole bunch of other guys.
Oh my gosh, Leonardo DiCaprio.
You know what I'm talking about?
Leonardo DiCaprio is like the kiss of death on these relationships, because I realized Giselle,
once they're 25, they're out.
No, I'm saying like he curses these women's relationships because Giselle dated him too. Giselle Bundchen. I was like, I hope Blake Lively makes it, because that's another ex that graduated.
But dude, the AI shit is just revenge of the nerds, right? It's the nerds have been shit on by women their whole life, so now they have the opportunity to kind of get their clap back, their comeuppance.
Well, I think Jeff Bezos was coming up like a nerd, but ever since he got his big bag, he doesn't look too much like a nerd anymore.
No.
The problem with Jeff Bezos is, he basically got a big bag and he dumped his woman. And I don't know what to tell women and men except to learn numerology and astrology. Learn who you're compatible with. Learn who you're not compatible with. It's going to save you so much trouble in life. I mean, you spoke about Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen's born in 1965, the year of the snake, and he married Denise Richards, born 1971, year of the pig. Pig and snake are enemy signs. What about the kids that they brought into the world? They're going to have a fucked up life because these people didn't take the time to understand how numerology and astrology works. I mean, listen, if I was married 4 or 5 times, you guys can invalidate everything I said. But the fact of the matter is, I've been at this for 2 decades. 2 decades. No issues. People need to turn back, not to God, in my opinion. I understand what you're saying, Malik, or all this other stuff. Start turning back to knowledge. Start turning back to what actually works. Again, I tell people all the time, millionaires might not use numerology and astrology. Billionaires do.
I want to ask you, how do you manage it so that you get kids who are born in the right time?
No, you basically have to time it out.
How do you time it?
Well, for instance, I wanted a kid born in a snake year, and that was 2013. That's when my kid was born. But I was married in 2004. I waited 8 years. I planned this out. And by the way, guys, my woman don't take birth control pills. You guys, you red pill motherfuckers fucking complain about women all the time. They're emotional. They're crazy. And then you're fucking stuffing pills down their fucking throat because you can't pull out? That's beta as fuck to me. That's beta as fuck to me. Have some fucking pull-out game, motherfucker. That's what you guys need to do. So going back to what the hell you were saying.
I can't.
9 months. Oh, you can't? Well, that's why you got Habdi.
No, my thing is this, is that, we're made to be. We're made to be.
Be what?
To just be. We're not supposed to be pulling out, doing that. You're supposed to have sex and reproduce.
Yeah, but...
So what I'm saying is this, how are you going to do it in such a way?
I couldn't afford kids in 2004, 2005, 2006. And the last thing I'm going to do is bring a child in this world in poverty. I wasn't going to do that. I was broke in 2006, 2007, 2008. I was not bringing a child in this world while I was broke.
The thing is, poor people tend to have more kids. It's like a whole psyop, this you need a certain amount of money to have children. My friend, like, we kind of broke down. We did an episode on this on my show. I don't know how broke you were, so maybe that was it. But I do think there's a lot of propaganda telling people they can't afford kids. When if you homeschool the kids, if you really just need like low food costs, low clothes costs, and then you can hand them down. Like my friend's a stay-at-home mom that kind of like broke this down.
I had a felony. I hit a cop in 1998. I couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
So it was it would have been very, very difficult. You know, by the way, this is before numerology, so I try to hear how come you didn't see this coming. Okay, this is way before numerology.
Right.
So no.
Well, I'm not saying for you, but I kind of understand like the religious point of view behind it, because you're kind of playing God when you're like, you know, like pulling out like birth control. Like, I mean, you're
well, if you're pulling out, how are you playing God?
Because again, you're
not supposed to.
You're not supposed to.
What do you mean you're not supposed to? Well, hold on a second.
What are you supposed? What's the purpose of having sex?
Yeah, like
if you're going to be pulling out.
What's the point? You're going to have 20, 30 kids? I can't afford 20, 30 kids.
Well, people used to do it. Like my
20, 30?
Well, I'll give you an example. So my dad is the son of a fireman, and on a fireman's salary, they had 13.
13 kids.
And so, like, yeah, feminism really, like, this is all part of feminism. It's like to get married in your later to late 20s and have 2 kids. Like, 2 kids is feminism.
Okay, I'm gonna make this abundantly clear. If I had to have 20 to 30 kids, hang me right now. Okay, you can hang me right now, because I ain't dealing with that stuff. That's too much for me. Other people might be able to do it. Other people, you know, that's fine. But I'm not doing it.
Right, but my point more is that like 100 years ago, the average was 5, and before that, it was even more. So it's like, and we have a higher standard of living now than we did 100 years ago.
Because we have less kids.
Well, yeah, partially, but like the thing is, like, people used to kind of make it work. Like, people used to do hand-me-downs. They used to do, like, you eliminate a lot of costs by not buying new clothes. But, like, my friend got chickens, right?
I got you.
You know, there's ways around this stuff.
There's ways to do it, but is that the type of life you want to live?
Well, I mean, that's the
wait. The quality of life matters, right?
Well, I mean, not always. Like, a lot of
quality of life doesn't matter.
Not always, because it's not about you. Is the point? It's about the family. It's about reproducing as much as possible. Like, you know, in certain cultures, right?
How many kids do you want?
I mean, I always said when I get married, it's just as meant. Like, I've never wanted to like plan it. Like, I've just wanted, once I'm married, just see what happens. I think, you know, I've always thought 4. I think maybe I probably waited.
4?
Yeah, you know, but I think I maybe
you better get started.
I know that was the problem. I was like, I think I waited too long, unfortunately. But, you know, we'll see. Hopefully, you know.
4? I mean, I'm cool with 2.
Yeah.
I'm cool. I'm packing up shop. I'm done. And by the way, the highlight of my day is when I'm home and when I wake up and the kid comes in the morning, gives me a hug, and says, "Daddy, I love you." Well, that is the highlight of my day. Everything after that is downhill.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, too. It's also leading to a lower IQ population because richer people have less kids. So the population...
But just because they're richer doesn't necessarily mean they have higher IQs.
Yeah, but it correlates. Like, that's the number 1 indicator of lifelong success is IQ. Number 2 is...
I know plenty of smart people who are broke.
No, I understand there's exceptions, but we're talking about general trends, right? And people that are smarter tend to make more money in general.
I mean, it's leading... There's a lot of women right now who are making a lot more money than men, which you said before. So what that basically says is, no, not the smarter people are making it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about women is that is another problem, is that women make more money and then we don't reproduce. So a lot of higher IQ, I would say a lot of higher IQ women don't reproduce.
Yes, that would probably be a big problem because they've been brainwashed by feminism.
Right. But
what's it, 90% now college-educated women initiate divorces?
Not that when they do divorce, they do initiate it. Yes.
Of course.
But you got to be smart to make money.
I would say
I don't think if you're a woman and you got a big rack and you got a nice
Yeah.
ass, all you got to do is put that shit on OnlyFans. You're going to make money. There's nothing about smart. The smart guys are the ones who invented the computer, invented the internet. Those were all men. And the women are taking advantage of that.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. Like in corporate America, you see these like women walking around like they own the place. They're not really that smart when you talk to them. They're kind of dummies. You know what I mean? Especially you were just in the DC area. There's a lot of stupid women making a lot of money out there. But it's just because these corporations so there's some truth to what he's saying. Like these corporations do reward women for basically like doing nothing because they have diversity hires. You know, so it does skew it a little bit, but you know, it just kind of depends on the industry. But yeah, there are some. I met this one chick, and she told me to go into tech. This was a couple of years ago, and I couldn't figure out how this girl was this stupid, was making so much money. She was like, she made like 110,000, and this was like 5 years ago, so it was less inflated. And I was like, how the hell is this bitch making so much money? It didn't click until 5 years later when they fired everyone at Twitter. What happened when the rubber met the road at Twitter, right? And they needed to make money because they were losing money. They fired all the women, all these, you know, white ladies in HR telling all the men, no. You know?
I've never had a woman boss.
No, they're not great. Yeah,
I don't think I ever will, in all honesty.
Yeah, and even the way I've structured like my company, like I do have
a wife. Let me rephrase that. I do have a wife, so I do have a little bit of a boss. So let me rephrase that a little bit.
Even the like everything I've been starting, like my men are in management in general. You know, I'm not saying there could never be a woman that's the exception, but I knew like as a woman I can't handle stress the same way men handle stress.
Nor do I think you should.
No, I don't want to. And so it's like nice if shit hits the fan to just be like, all right, tell me what I'm supposed to do. You know.
I think naturally that, you got smart women and smart men. Intelligence, I think, is not ascribed to your gender, but your gender.
Well, women are much less intelligent than men as a whole. Their brains are 15% smaller. They're much more emotionally based. Men are much more logically based. Now, are you going to tell me there's not a woman out there who's very logical? Of course there are. I've met them. But it's very rare. Okay. It's like finding a virgin in Full House.
It all depends on the roles that we're given, because physically a man is stronger than a woman, and so the woman has got to be submissive. She should be submissive.
What about your brother? That doesn't seem to be the case with him.
Meaning?
Well, I mean, it looks like Michelle Obama's running the show.
Yeah, but that's his thing,
Was he always a weak man?
Well, he was always effeminate, like he was always like soft and a nice guy, always a nice guy.
Was he raised by a single mother?
Yeah.
He had no strong father figures?
No.
Is that why he's a Democrat?
Shoot, that's hard to say. Yeah. But Democrats are like that. They're kind of soft people. They're into anything and everything, And
they believe in everything.
They believe in everything, anything goes, But I don't believe that that's the way it's supposed to be, because there's some things that are meant for some people, like you can't have a woman, lifting weights. I mean, she lift weights, yeah, but there's a level at which she can't go any further,
And when they start taking steroids.
Yeah, so there's some things that are meant for each and every one of us naturally, so. But right now, people are trying to make things manufactured, and they're fitting it to be what they want it to be, as opposed to what it's supposed to be. And that's what's messing up everything in the world right now, because we don't know the parameters. We don't know the limits, because you can't have, even your rights, like my rights here, they will only go as far as my arm goes, because when you stretch it out, then there's going to be a clash. So I got to give you some space when I'm doing like this.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to know where our parameters are. And the only way to know that is when you're brought up well, properly, the right kind of values.
Or you have people puppeteering you. When I look at your brother, he's born 1961, the year of the ox. When he come to power? 2009, the year of the ox. So it's always there. It's always there. I look at your brother. He was 47 years old when he became president of the United States. 4 and 7, 11. He's born 8/4 1961. 8/4 1961 adds up to 29 2 9 11. When I always look at certain things, the people in power always have it. I always tell people there's basically 3 numbers when it comes to this game. The top guys, top women usually have 3 numbers. Number 1, 11.
But do you think that he's the power behind all this, or there's
No. I think Valerie
like
Jarrett.
I don't think there's a few people out there, or a council.
Valerie Jarrett is basically his handler. Have you ever met Valerie Jarrett?
No.
Okay, well, he kept her far away from you. Valerie Jarrett is Barack Obama's handler. I believe she gets her orders from the Rothschilds.
Okay.
I believe that. I cannot prove that, but that's what I believe. When I saw that your brother is the first president in U.S. history who left the White House but didn't leave Washington, D.C., I'm like, oh, I wonder why Barack's staying in D.C. after Trump went in office. Because every other president went on, to vacations. He's got 4 mansions. He can go all over the place. He stayed. Why? Because he was running the deep state. He was the one who was running the whole operation. He kneecapped Trump's presidency with fake Russia investigations, fake investigations, all sorts of bullshit.
But broke.
Yes. Broke man, right?
Yeah. He's full of shit.
Do you have any respect left for your brother?
No, I don't. No.
When did you lose it? What was the final draw?
I lost it when he left office.
2016?
For 8 years, I've been supporting him.
How many times have you been in the White House?
Many times.
And you were there supporting him through thick and thin?
Through thick and thin.
And then he left the White House. What happened?
Got nothing back. He just left. It's like there was nothing to
Why
him.
couldn't he give you a job?
Because
you are his brother.
said-
My brother works for me.
He said I wasn't a citizen.
What does that matter?
I don't know, because
You have
I
a
was
green
working
card,
there
don't you?
Since 1985.
You've been in this country since
Since
85?
1985.
Okay, so
And I was working, and he tells me that I'm not a citizen. I said to myself, that's the first time when I got that alarm went off. And I said, this guy's something wrong with it.
Pearl, could you imagine that your brother or sister was the president of the United States and they wouldn't even try to give you a job? Would that bother you?
It's not really that I wanted a job. I just wanted to be of assistance, to be by his side, to help him out. I said, look, I'm a Muslim. I might could help you with these Muslims over there. JFK and RFK, they were together. They were helping each other.
Sometimes
And that's what I wanted.
Sometimes brothers are together, like the
Yeah.
Tate brothers.
'Cause he was my
I
brother.
don't like the Tates, but you got to respect the bond that Tristan and Andrew have together. Then you have other pieces of shit like Logan and Jake Paul. Listen, I think Logan is the biggest piece of fucking shit on this planet. I kind of like Jake. I think, I look at Jake, he seems like a stand-up individual. He's fighting for UFC fighters to get better health contracts and pay. He's actually done more for the sport of boxing than anyone else since Floyd Mayweather. So he's done it, but I look at Logan and I'm like, wow, what a selfish individual. He basically went on a podcast and said, I'm a better boxer than you, even though he got his ass whooped twice, and Jake's out here knocking people out. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I didn't see the fight. I don't know what they
You're not a Jake Paul fan, are you?
No, I don't really care. I'm like,
I got you.
I don't know
got
much
you.
about
Do you know
the
who Jake
Paul
Paul
brothers.
is?
No,
Do you know who Andrew Tate is?
no.
I know
I
the
don't know any of
Tates,
those guys,
obviously.
no.
but
No,
the
he
Paul
doesn't. He
brothers,
doesn't.
yeah.
And by the way, Tates, this is a man from Kenya. He never heard of you. Do they know who Gary the Numbers guy is in Kenya?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, there you go.
they do.
Mwah, motherfucker. When I look at everything that's going around in society today, it's honestly what Pearl says. You can say it 100 times. It's feminism. We need to repeal 19. And by the way, I think that shirt's gonna sell like hotcakes. Repeal 19. Let's make that shit mainstream, Pearl.
Yeah.
And it's just like they said, make America great again in 2016.
Yeah.
Repeal 19 in 2004. Are you with it, Malik?
I'm with you.
Yes.
Yes.
And honestly, it's for our own good, because it's messing with the natural order of the world. They're telling us we can make decisions like men. We're not meant to make decisions like men. We're not meant to live life like men do. And when we do, it leads to our own unhappiness. So I think it's just back to like women are dummies. That's gonna be
have you met any intelligent women?
Yeah.
In your opinion?
Oh yeah, I just say as a group, we're kind of dummies.
Okay.
But even intelligent,
what percentage?
But even intelligent women, I will say, are still stupid when it comes to mate selection. I would say like most women at some point have made dumb decisions when it comes to like mate selection. Even smart ones.
Why do you think they do that? Is it because of lust? Is it because of peer pressure? Why?
I think women would rather be. There's a couple things. Like I think in the old days, right? You'd watch MTV, like a music awards, whatever it was, and you realize that was not real, right? Now we have women that have access to these celebrities, right? And these entertainers. And it's so crazy when I ask girls on the show about their exes, how many are like rappers, entertainers, whatever it is. And so it's like we have access to these men and we think it's real life, but it's not. And we have access. It's like the women would rather be the king's concubine than the peasant's wife. But now we have access to all the kings. That's never happened.
What percentage of women do you think would rather be the king's concubine? We're talking about 50, 80?
I think most women would rather be the king's concubine. Maybe like, I think 100% of women.
No,
yeah.
I disagree with that.
I think
there's
most
no way
women,
it can't be 100%.
I mean, but remember, like, what is the king, right? Women value different things. So
what are the top 3 things in your opinion that women value? Money was one of them. Probably piping them down good is another one. What's the third?
I think nowadays, like a strong masculine leadership is so rare. God, that's so rare.
Do you actually want a man telling you what to do?
Mm-hmm.
What if you think that he's making a bad decision? Do you speak up or do you be submissive?
Well, I'm gonna be like, being who I am. Am I gonna struggle with that? Yeah, probably. But I think at the end of the day, I've learned it's like really nice to just know it's on him and not me. That's just like what
I understand.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, if I don't agree, I might give you my take, but it's like at the end of the day, it's nice to know that like I don't have to stress out about the outcome of the decision. It's on him, it's not me.
I see. You don't want pressure on you.
No, I don't handle pressure super well.
Do you think women handle pressure well?
No. And even that's why I say even me, like I'm not saying I'm going to do this perfectly, right? And that's why I think people get irritated because they're like, Pearl, why aren't you this like super feminine woman, da 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 da. I'm not saying I'm probably going to struggle with it too, but it's like if we can't agree,
but at least you know what the right thing is.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. If we can't agree on what the ideal is, then how do we improve as women? We can't, like right now, we can't even have a conversation as women to say, hey, the ideal is to not nag your husband. The ideal is to trust him. This is what we are the ideal is to stay in shape, not get fat. Like this is what we're striving for. But it's like I can't even have a conversation with women and say, "Hey guys, we should listen to our husbands." Without them saying, well, but are you going to do it? Probably not perfectly. Probably not. But, all we can really do is do the best we can and try to improve.
There's some women out there who won't stop. They'll keep talking. They won't shut up. Do you think in the and by the way, this is going to be controversial. Do you think in the 1800s, women were more subservient because they knew if they got out of the line, they might face physical punishment? Do you think that in itself might have kept them in check?
Maybe a little bit, but there was also they had like a contraption. They had like
that chastity belt.
No, they had a contraption to like put over women's like mouths if they nagged too much.
What was that called?
I can't remember. I tweeted it though. There was like a picture, like literally. And,
shit! I'm learning something new today, Malik.
Husbands could have prosecuted their wives for nagging too much. I mean, men are naturally benevolent. Men like naturally they don't want to really.
You can prosecute your wife for what?
Nagging. Yeah.
Nagging.
Yes,
oh,
yes.
80% of you bitches would be in prison.
Yeah, but women also could prosecute her husband for not paying all the bills. It went both ways. Yeah, it went both ways. And
Sounds like Islam.
yeah. I know. And so, but a lot of times we look at these institutions and say they were so crazy instead of like asking why they were the way they were. I think that's like the worst mistake in history, is looking at it through the lens of today instead of the lens of the time. And the truth of the matter is, us women, like, we just hold on to things. I don't know what, like, I'm not even saying I don't do it, but it's like for some reason.
Women love bringing up the past, don't they?
I know, we do. We're like the CEOs of what happened yesterday.
A woman will do something wrong, and then she'll bring up, well, you did that 5 years ago. You did that 10 years ago.
And this is what I realized. If we hold on to too much, I see women go crazy in their 40s, like 40s to 50s, because it's like 20
Midlife
years.
crisis?
No, it's like, I think it's like the demons taking over them. I have weird views on it, but like, because like, think about the anger that builds up. If you're really, you have to forget. Like in life, you just have to forget the mean things that people have done to you, because otherwise you're just going to be angry, especially women at least. And the thing,
you don't believe in revenge?
Not in a marriage, I don't.
Okay,
I think
like
what you're like, I think men are meant to fight, women aren't. And I think like
not all men.
Like, well, yeah, like, but I think like women, we're supposed to be like selfless. Like that's what our goal anyway, because we cannot hold on to anger. We cannot remember like traumatic things like men can. And so I just noticed when women have spent 20 years thinking about every single thing their husband has done wrong, the husband becomes a shell of a guy, or he's not like the king of his own house, and the woman just becomes crazy because she hasn't anyone to check her for 20 years and tell her that she's insane. And we're all insane.
Malik, as a man who's had many wives, we won't name the number, but you've had many wives, as it's allowed in Africa and Islam. Have you noticed what she's saying is true?
No, she's telling the truth. It's just the way it's supposed to be, and it's natural like that, because the man is the dominant. He's supposed to express his dominance. Not even that, it's natural. It's supposed to be like that. And like I was saying, that sometimes the problem is with women, sometimes they don't accept that. And then when you're like on top of them, they get really upset. So
on top of them, literally?
Yeah, literally.
Okay.
Yeah. So every time when I'm having a thing with one of them, I say, look, I didn't make you. We were made this way. So don't blame me. Because I think they have that.
That's logical. That usually doesn't work with them too well.
Yeah.
Logic does not. Yeah, you have to talk in emotional ways sometimes for a woman to actually understand.
Well, and I honestly think that our emotions most of the time are from the devil, because it's like sometimes you'll just get like
really religious, aren't you?
It's crazy. It's not even like a religion thing. It's just like, I don't know, when I think about things like logically, this is just the best a woman can, right? But like when I just think these things through, it's like, I think most women, like in a breakup or what, like this is what we see, women spite in breakups today, right? When they take the kids, when they take the house, they take all this shit. And I'm like, that obviously can't be from God, right? It's got to be from the devil. So it's like women, like I think the devil literally uses women to abuse the men, because that's the way the devil can get to the men. And that's why you see all these like statues where they're like I saw that statue in New York of the woman holding the man's head. You're like, it's like, and even like there was Medusa, there was some tribe in India where literally,
out the head,
yeah, there is this tribe in India where literally they would sacrifice men to the like Kali, the goddess Kali, and you'll see these like things like reiterated in the magazines and like just in a modern day like thing, like I don't know, symbolism, whatever. But like that tribe was known for being really violent, and they sacrificed men. Other men would go get the simps, right? Would go get the other men and sacrifice the men to the goddess Kali. Yeah, and I think it's, and because I just think of like the angriest I've been in my life, and it's like weird. It's like something's like over you, like you're so mad, and so it's like that can't be from God. That's got to be from the devil. And as a woman, you just kind of have to know, like, just wait, it'll pass, it'll go away. Like don't, yeah.
When it comes to you and your relationships, do you follow a lot of the same advice that you're actually giving people when they listen to you?
I do. I do. But
You're not a hypocrite.
But well, I mean, sometimes, hell yeah.
Aren't we all?
Sometimes I get mad. You know, it's like, you know, I'm human. I don't think I'm like the perfect example of a feminine woman. No, I wish I was. But at the end of the day, I was an athlete. Like I spent most of my life in a gym, and I do the best I can. But again, I just think it's like a dangerous territory when we can't even acknowledge the ideal. Like as a man, like, you know, most men can say, hey, take care of all the bills. But some guys still have their woman work part-time. But they can say, hey, taking care of all the bills is the ideal. They can say being in the best shape, fighting, being strong, that's the ideal. Even if sometimes, you know, maybe they got a beer belly, maybe they're not. Like, men can at least acknowledge like what the ideal is in general. Like there's some iffiness. Women, it's like we can't even acknowledge the ideal without going viral. Like to say, you know, I'm not a virgin, but like I think a virgin is the ideal. I think getting married younger is the ideal. It's like, you know, but I don't understand why as women we can't acknowledge what the ideal is and try to work our way to it.
I mean, most people probably have different ideals, though.
Well, I think we live in la land. I think like for women.
Yeah, women definitely live in la land.
You know, unfortunately, we're just dummies, you know. And I say that like tongue in cheek, but like we've just had 100 years of propaganda brainwashing us. You know, men may have slightly different ideals, but I think the core is still the same. Protect your woman, provide for your woman. But we can't even say as women the ideal is a virgin. Like how crazy is that? That's like the one thing that was required for marriage. And we can't even agree. We can't even say, look, ladies, I know none of us waited, all right? But that's what we should have did. Like we have grown, I just saw grown like 45, 50-year-old women giving their advice to like younger women on TikTok, and they all said to date around. That's what they all said.
A 45-year-old.
Yes. This is the older women don't help us. And that's why it's like we can't even get advice from the wives because we have such a generation of shitty wives. The women between the ages of like 40 and like 55-ish, they might have stayed married or been married for a while, but they were not good wives. They had the propaganda in the 80s, like the really heavy propaganda campaign in the 70s and the 80s. They're not good wives, and most of us really don't have much we can learn from them. Unfortunately, most of them went to college. Most of them, if you say, hey, because this is where you can really see it, where like a woman's headspace is at. Do you obey your husband? And, you know, those women, most of them don't say yes. They say no.
Should a woman obey her husband if he's a broke-ass bitch?
If that's who she picked, unfortunately. You know, I believe in, you know, for richer or for poor.
What if she picked a person who showed a lot of potential, but when she got to know him, he was actually lying about that stuff.
I'm Catholic. Well, he was lying? Yeah. I think we can actually get
there's a lot of men out there who pretend to be rich, who pretend to actually have things they don't, and then the women find out and they're like, oh, okay, you're a fraud.
I mean, I guess what is broke, right? Is this unemployed? You didn't notice he was unemployed? Because the average man makes $45,000 a year and he goes up to $70,000. That's average. The average woman, remember, it's not like we, you know, we're not on a, like, it's kind of like get off your high horse. Like the average woman isn't a virgin. The average woman's overweight. And yet you're demanding all these crazy things. You know, so the average 90% of women have been on birth control. Our fertility's probably fucked up. Our hormones are probably fucked up.
But what about the men who are actually telling their women to take these damn pills?
I mean, I don't think they should. You know, I'm not like, but I'm Catholic, so I'm not the, you know, they'll be like, oh, Pearl, you know, I'm not the best Catholic, but I am Catholic.
I'm Jewish. I haven't been in temple in 10 years.
But it's like, you know, marriage is supposed to be for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse, in sickness and in health. And like, I do believe when you take those vows, you're not supposed to get divorced.
If a man cheats on a woman, should she stay with him?
Yeah, sorry. Like,
really?
I don't think he should cheat, but, you know, I think, again, you know, we have to get off our high horses. Like, come on, you weren't a virgin on your wedding day. We could have picked monogamy at 21 and gotten married. We didn't pick monogamy. But
so you think
my thing is this? Let me just
hold on. Let me finish. Yeah. You think it's okay for a man to cheat around and possibly bring STD back to his wife?
No, I don't think it's okay. I don't think he should do that. But
if he does do that, you're staying by his side.
Okay, well, what are you gonna do with a fucking STD on the dating market? You might as well stay at that point. Like, now, like, what are you gonna, you know what I mean? Like, now you're gonna go back out there with an STD. That's better.
Personally, I probably slit the person's throat. But that's just me.
Well, and I'm not advocating for cheating, but what I'm saying is, like, you know, what if we accounted getting attention from other men as cheating? Like, what if we accounted flirting with another man as cheating? Because attention is to women as to sex is to men. We cannot live without attention. Men can't live without sex. So, you know, what if we counted flirting with the personal trainer? What if we counted answering a DM from someone else? What if we counted even just posting a selfie on Instagram?
Make sure that personal trainer is a woman.
Yeah, and I agree with you. But you know what I mean? It's like
an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't put those people in those situations.
I agree with you. But my whole point is, like, a lot of times women will be like, oh, he's the devil, he cheated, it's just horrible. And we allow women to make such victims of ourselves, just being like, oh, you have such a poor thing, he's just evil, when it's like, okay, you never cheated, really? Like, you never flirted with someone else, you never
you're equating flirting to cheating.
I think for a woman, accepting attention from another guy is cheating. I don't think it is as much for a guy. Yeah, so
I don't think unless a woman builds an emotional bond with another person or she's fucking another person, I don't see that as an issue.
Okay, but let's take emotional bonds. Usually women nowadays have like I honestly think women nowadays aren't even monogamous because they usually have 2 or 3 guy friends, even in America. Like, we're in a society where we can't tell the difference between wives and single women. You know, in normal, like, you could kind of tell the difference. The women would roll, like, the single women would have the short skirt, and then they get married, they put it away. Now you can't even tell the difference. So if we're going to count dressing provocatively, seeking attention from other men, the same way, like, if a guy flirted with the waitress, you would be mad. But women can dress half naked, which is clearly asking for attention, and nobody cares. And so my whole point is, like, you know, make sure your side is clean before you start whining about what the men are doing. And I think for 90% of women today, to say you never crossed a line ever when you were married, I think it's a bit silly to throw away the whole marriage when women have a lot harder time remarrying, right? Instead of figuring a way to work it out, and marriage is supposed to be about forgiveness.
You know, in astrology, one thing I realized is there's some signs that will put up with cheating, and there's some signs don't. So take notes, guys. I'm going to put this out there. If a woman is born in a goat year, she'll put up with cheating. She will literally put up with people cheating. And I'm going to give you an example. Anna Nicole Smith. Everyone knows who that bitch is. She married a 90-year-old billionaire. And by the way, Anna Nicole Smith is born on the 28th. She did get that bag, didn't she? But the fact of the matter is, you know, when you look at these women and you look at everything they're doing, I kind of disagree with what you said. I don't think people should be cheating. But if you're going to go that route, learn numerology and astrology. First of all, if you cheat on a rooster, it doesn't matter if you're a millionaire. It doesn't matter if you're flat broke. They'll cut you. Okay? Lauren Bobbitt, I think the one who cut off her dude's thingy, she was born in the rooster year. But if you look at other signs like goats, again, as long as the man is providing money and giving them a luxury lifestyle, they'll put up with it. There's certain things people have to understand. And this is why I keep telling people knowledge is power. Think of all the people in this world who are putting up with garbage. You don't have to do it. You just have to understand how to learn this knowledge and apply it. It's not just about knowing things. It's actually about applying things in everyday life. You know, when I look at a guy like Mr. Beast, I personally believe that he was put on because I look at his little logo, pink, blue, and white, and I look at the transgender flag, pink, blue, and white. I think at some point down the line, dude cut a deal because he has no charisma and he's the top guy out there. But the numerology tells me he's a 3 life path. And 3 is the number of communication. Communication starts with C, 3 is the 3rd letter. Zerka's a 3. You know, Rolo's a 3. Sartain's a 3. A whole bunch of people out there who basically are 3 life paths run their freaking mouths. I mean, even in the past, Rush Limbaugh, people know who he was.
Yeah.
Howard Stern and Rush Limbaugh are born on the same exact day. The 2 people who were supposedly the kings of all media before, people like Pro took over and all this internet stuff, they were the kings of all media. They were born on the same day. The 12th, 1 and 2 is 3. So when you look at stuff like that, you start understanding, okay, this is making sense why people are a certain way. But it doesn't just stop there. People have to learn this stuff. I'm just telling you, I just look at all these people with all these problems and I'm like, God damn, I'm fucking smart as hell. Because I figured all this stuff out and I never had these problems. I mean, listen, my girl was damn near a virgin. Okay, I didn't have these problems as you guys did. I don't even. I've been going on trips for 10 years, and I leave for a week, 2 weeks, do business, make money for the family. I don't ever worry that my girl is cheating on me, ever, and she knows I'm not fucking doing anything because I'm not about that life. Some people are, some people like the Tates. They're tigers. Tigers live their lives like those 2. They're supposed, being all alpha, all masculine, halfway a bodybuilder, a freaking fighter. This is what tigers do. And if you're going to be with a tiger, don't expect them to be faithful. That's just the bottom line. Some signs will be faithful to the freaking end. Roosters are so fucking so loyal. And I married a rooster partly because of it. This is the stuff people have to understand. And if you do that, life just gets so much more simpler. I have problems like everyone else, but not those type of problems. You know what I'm saying? Malik, I want to change gears for the last 20 minutes that we have here. And I want to get a little bit more political. What role do you believe your brother right now has in the Democratic Party? Do you believe he's still a shot caller or not?
I think he is, yeah. He's still a shot caller. He has a lot of influence. And my thing is that whatever he says is what goes.
When I look at President Trump, there's a long list of people who worked for him. A lot of them unjustly got hit with subpoenas, got hit with indictments. Some of them went to prison. And again, this is all political. I get that. There's not one person who worked for your brother who got locked up. Not one. Now, we know your brother's corrupt as hell. Solyndra, Fast and the Furious, the money he sent to Iran. His brother sent $1.5 billion in unmarked bills to Iran. Why do you think someone like that would do something like that, bro?
I got no idea.
Because they're cleaning money. Because, see, in America, we have laws here. And it's very, very difficult for politicians to steal money. But do you know why the politicians are so benevolent with your money and my money? Because when they send it overseas, those laws aren't there anymore. So basically, his brother sent all that money to Iran. Guess who Iran kicked back some of that money to? Barack Hussein Obama. Think about it this way. There was a war in Afghanistan for 20 years. 20 years. They pulled out August 2022. They pulled out. No, I'm sorry. 2021, they pulled out. Within 6 months, there's a war. Why? Because one money laundering operation came to an end. They need to start a new one. All these politicians are dirty as hell. Every single one of them. And and again, I voted for Trump in 2016. I didn't vote for him because I'm a felon and I'm not allowed to vote. But I convinced thousands of people to vote for Trump in 2016 and 2020. But guess what? Can't do it in 2024. Can't do it.
The wrong year?
Exactly. Because of what I believe in. Donald J. Trump is born 1946, the year of the dog. If he becomes president in 2024, that's his enemy year. That's not good. That's not good. So now I'm in a very difficult position because obviously I want to vote for the conservative, and the other, side is a bunch of pedophiles and a whole bunch of other nonsense. But I know what's going to happen if Trump goes in office. Same thing that happened with George W. Bush. George W. Bush came to power in 2000. That was a dragon year. He's born the same year as Trump, 1946. Under his watch, the Great Recession. Under his watch, 9/11. His presidency was a complete freaking failure. Complete freaking failure. We have an Obama because of a Bush. And we had a Donald Trump because of Obama. The only way Republicans can actually defeat this basically coalition of homosexuals, feminists, a whole bunch of other bullshit, the only way it's going to happen if we do it on a state level. State by state by state. They can't do it on a federal level. They have to do it at the state level. They have to pass laws in every single state that says we will check every single vote, not once, not twice. We have something called blockchain. We have something called crypto right now. Why can't we vote the same way? There's too many dead people voting. And the problem is all of these bastards are always voting for the Democratic Party.
Right.
Every single time it goes, every time there's a cheating scandal, anytime there's some kind of dead person voting, it's always going for Democrats.
Why don't conservatives cheat back?
I've been trying to figure that out for a long time.
That's our problem. We're too moral and principled.
I'm done with that. I used to believe that stuff 15 years ago. Oh, no, it doesn't matter what they did. We got to be better than them. I don't believe that shit at all anymore. That I was brainwashed to believe that. I don't believe that shit at all anymore. If they're playing with fire, then you're playing with fire. They bring out a knife, you bring out a bigger fucking knife. You have to get it to the point, like a CIA agent once told me, you kill one of mine, I'm taking a fucking 100 of yours. That's how it has to be. Because when you project power, you don't have to use it. Look at a guy, like his bodyguard. That's a big boy. That's a big boy. You think anyone's coming up to him and saying, yo, get the fuck out of my way? No one's going to say shit to him. And it doesn't even matter if he can fight. He's intimidating. So by the fact that he's intimidating, that itself is strength because people won't test you. And that's why America must remain the superpower in the world. It has to happen because I'm really, really worried that my kids and grandkids will grow up under CCP rule. That is one of the most frightening things. That? Chinese Communist Party. I'm very, very concerned because to me, that is the greatest evil after feminism on the planet right now. It was the CCP. These people, they own everything. They want people to have social credit scores. Like, for instance, if you're in China and you have a bad social credit score, you can't go in a store to buy food. This is to the point they want to bring it here. They want that society here. And communists and socialists always say the same fucking bullshit over and over. You bring up the case of the Soviet Union that failed. You bring up the case of Venezuela that failed. You bring up all of these cases, and these freaking morons will keep telling you, oh, but it wasn't done correctly. Socialism works, but it wasn't done correctly. Communism works, it wasn't done correctly. I'm going to tell you right now, one of my heroes in life is General Franco. You ever hear of that guy? You ever hear of General Franco?
He was in Spain.
Yes. And I've never been in Spain, so why would he be my hero? Because he fucking put communists in the fucking ground. Anyone who puts communists in the ground, I fucking love you. Because when it comes down to it, I know what communism is. Because my dad escaped communism and he came here and he had a conversation with me when I was 8, 9 years old. He told me, Gary, I ran away from the communists. You won't be able to run. There's nowhere else to run. He told me that in the 80s. And he was not an educated man, but he was a very, very smart man. And, you know, when my dad passed, he didn't leave me any money. We were middle class to below or above at some point, but we're always moving like this. But I thank him every single day. I start thinking him once I start getting some sense, because he came to this country. He came to America. He gave me the opportunity to be in the greatest country on earth. And because I had that opportunity, I became a freaking millionaire. I would not have done this in any other country on earth. Flat out. I love this country. But this country needs to be saved. Because if it's not saved within the next decade, it's going to be too far gone. It's going to be too far gone. And I really don't know what to do at that point. It was like Brute says, at that point, society is going to destroy itself, and then we're going to go through that same cycle of strong men coming from tough times, and they build their kids up, and all of a sudden these kids become soft, and the whole cycle repeats. One thing I always do, I have a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old. I don't allow my boys to cry. I do not allow it. If they want to scream, if they want to get mad, cool. You know, I'll have a nice talk with them, like, yo, chill out, cool. But if they start crying, I get in their fucking face. Don't fucking cry. Do not cry. And I recommend every single dad out there does the same thing to your kids. Do not allow them to cry, because, you know, if you're a woman and you cry, people are going to help you. People are going to come. They're going to feel sorry for you. They're going to want to help you. Men are going to want to help you. Women are going to want to help you. You see a man crying, no one gives
They've
a
done that
fuck.
social experiment, like a man versus a woman crying in public. They did not give a fuck.
No one
about
gives
the guy.
a fuck.
No.
And that's why I want these kids to understand. Get that soft feminism, beta shit off. Just get rid of it. Because when they grow up and you're not around anymore, you can't have them being soft. A woman will tear a soft man apart quicker than a fucking criminal. Just like you said, they will take advantage of him and they will fucking destroy him. My organization is GG33. I basically run a group about 3,000 people. 85% of my students are men. And I always make sure it's about around that ratio. And the reason I do that is because if you have too many women in one group, they're going to start fighting. They're going to start hating each other. Here's the thing about men, and Malik, correct me if you think I'm wrong. No person will want anything but the best for their son. If you as a father, you want your son to do better than you. You as a father, you want your son to do the stuff that you did not accomplish in life. A woman and her daughter, I've seen a little bit different. I've actually seen mothers be jealous of their daughters because they're better looking than they are.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
There's a ton of moms that are jealous of their daughters. That's really common.
It's disgusting. Mm-hmm. It is absolutely disgusting.
Because they're single.
Ah.
That's why they're not meant to be, like, they're supposed to have the man they want's attention. So either they're not with the man they want and they're looking, or they couldn't keep him, whatever it is. And now they're, like, think about it. You have a daughter at 20. Now 40-year-old and 20-year-old are in the same club. You cannot tell. That's the crazy thing. You can't, you're supposed to move.
One's a little more used up, though.
Well, but that's the crazy thing. Like, you used to be able to tell the difference in the way they dressed between a 40-year-old and a 20-year-old.
I can't tell anymore.
No, they dress exactly the same. I mean, you can tell the wrinkles, you know what I mean? But they look exactly the same. It's crazy.
Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah.
Absolutely undefeated.
I had a question. Mm-hmm. Why do women have this fascination with their lips? I see a lot of women now with these thick lips.
They put Botox in their lips and stuff like
filler.
that.
Yeah, what is that? Because I'm noticing that happening, and mostly with these women who have money.
Remember, women were dummies. So if they if they just market us anything, we'll buy it. So they marketed lip filler to us, and we bought it. We're
I find
dummies.
that unattractive.
I know.
Why would
I find breast implants unattractive. Yet you have a whole bunch of women who do them. I mean, this is why I keep telling people, Pearl. These red pill guys say these women are crazy. They keep saying, "Oh, yo, these bitches are out their fucking mind." I agree with them, but then they tell them to get breast implants. Then they tell them to take birth control pills. What the fuck? How is that helping the situation at all?
Who tells them to get breasts? I've never heard someone.
There's quite a few red pill guys that tell people women to enhance themselves any way possible. I mean, hell, if you're Brazilian, they're gonna tell you to put something in your butt.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Kanye West's mother died.
Well, I'll say this.
Kanye West's mother died because of plastic surgery.
I'll say this. There's different strategies that women use to attract different types of guys. And unfortunately, the guys that we tend to go for when we're young are the rappers, the ballers, all that. Like, it's just...
The bad boys.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sort of. And so because of that, they're marketing for the look. And those guys typically aren't seeking long-term mates, typically. I mean, are those guys known for being family men in general? The rappers, right. So what are they marketing themselves to those guys? They want to get with what in this society is the top guys, which is unfortunate. Like, we're not, as women, we want what's trendy, what's cool. And that's what we see, right? Even though, let's be honest, the businessmen have way more power than any of those guys. But, we're dummies, right? So because that's in the media, that's what we market ourselves for.
We're about to start wrapping this up. Pearl, give us red flags that guys can look for in women.
That's just controversial. I think tattoos, personally. I think a lot of, being fat, obviously there's no discipline. Doesn't like kids. I went to college, but I'd say it's better to get a girl that didn't. Not too smart. And super masculine and argumentative, I'd just say. Yeah. But especially like tattoos and dressing trashy, I'd say it's like the biggest stuff, because she's just gonna embarrass you.
Do you think if a woman puts on a bathing suit that's dressing trashy? Tough one.
I don't know. I think the more modest the bathing suit, the better.
So if she's wearing a thong?
Oh God, no! Don't date the bitches with thongs.
Okay, there you go.
That's bad.
Yeah, that's where you cross the line.
Yeah.
What do you think are some red flags in men?
I think men that are too invested in like material things is a red flag, personally. So like the really expensive everything before they can afford it, like men that aren't good with money. I think most men have God in them.
God in them?
Yeah, I explained this a lot earlier.
But I just got the devil in them.
Yeah, that's true. Lazy. No, you know what? Men that have, I'd say the biggest red flag is men that have the spirit of a woman in them. So men that still
beta male bitches.
Yeah, that listen to women. Yeah, that still listen to their mother as a grown man. That are afraid of their mother. You don't ever want a guy where it's like he's afraid of his mom as a grown man.
Yeah,
that's common. That's really common.
Really?
That's really common. I was just on a podcast the other day.
Afraid of disappointing their mother?
No, okay, I'll give you an example. I was on a podcast the other. I feel bad sometimes when people can figure out who these people are, but I was on a podcast. You know what I mean?
You've been on a lot of podcasts.
I've been on. It could be anyone, but I was on a podcast, and this guy.
She's talking about you, bitch.
Yeah. But okay, he was actually really nice, but he had. I gave him the shirt that said women shouldn't vote. I was like, all right, guys, here's a shirt, right? And he said, well, if my mom saw me wearing that, she'd be pissed. And I'm thinking, well, why do you give a fuck?
Red flag right there.
Right, and that's what I mean. Like, men, the evil men are the men with the spirit of women in them. So men that it's like I can hear it in a guy's voice if he grew up with a single mother. I can't describe it. I don't know how I can tell, but it's like their voice is like an octave higher and they just have feminine tones.
I'm going to get a little trouble for this, but there was a time where my mom would call me if she didn't like something I tweeted. And I told her like this, you do it again, I'm going to block you. And I actually blocked my own mother because she was actually, going in and started telling me, what is this tweet? What is this tweet? What is this tweet? And we came to understanding that she's not going to do that anymore. And she got unblocked. I do not allow women to tell me what to do. I will say this. My wife was the first person who believed in me when it came to the numerology, astrology, that I could actually make it. So I have utmost loyalty for that because I believe loyalty is everything.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I don't think people should cheat, and I think that at the end of the day, like if you made a decision your wife disagreed with, she'd still support you, right?
Yeah, of course.
And that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
And even
do you think most women who disagree with their men will go find another one?
Oof. Yeah, or they'll just remind them for a lifetime if it was ever the wrong decision. Because that's the other thing, like we feel like we need to tell them, and I've done this before, so I'm not even claiming that I haven't, but it's like we feel like we need to tell them when they got the wrong decision. He fucking knows. He knows, and you're supposed to support him anyway. Sometimes you work for a boss that makes a decision where you lose revenue, but you don't quit your job. Well, some people do, but the best employees don't, right?
Yeah, and by the way, if you are an employer out there looking for people who want to work, hire someone born on the 4th, 13th, and 31st, because those are the worker bees in life. Free game out there. Malik, we're about to wrap this up. Do you have any closing thoughts on everything we talked about? Or if you want to say anything else about your brother?
No, I just said this is really interesting. This is a great podcast. I really enjoyed being here. And I'm impressed with what Pearl has to say.
Yeah, she got a mouthpiece on her, doesn't she? She's good.
I support her 100%. And that's why I say that.
You're all shy sometimes and stuff, but once you put that mic in front of you, boom!
Well, I mean, I just think the truth speaks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you just know truth when you hear it. Mm-hmm. And my job is to think about these things.
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Say you get married,
yeah,
and your husband wants to be an influencer like you.
Yeah.
But you're the better one. You're better at talking, influencing. Are you still gonna listen to him when he tells you what to do?
I gotta, because otherwise,
But would you want to listen to a man who's being illogical when you are the top person and he wants to say, yo, you got to be submissive to me because I'm a man? I mean, at what point does that argument say?
Well, I don't think my ideal is to date someone in the same industry. I'm just saying it's not ideal.
Just giving you
But hypothetically, I think the only way that the marriage could work is if I listen to him. I think men are logical, and over time they kind of see if they're making stupid decisions and adjust. So that would really be my only.
You got a lot of faith in men. I don't.
I just think I think marriage, that's the only way it works.
I agree with that.
So it's like, if that's my bed, it's like, fuck, I gotta lie in it. That was who I picked.
Since you women aren't very good at picking your mates, and I'm saying about this to 95% of women out there, not you, baby, my wife, you did a good job, but to the other 95% of women, you guys kind of suck at this. Is it time to start looking at something else? Back in the day, they had religious marriages. They do still in some part of the world. At some point, maybe give the astrologers and numerologists a chance to start hooking up people and things of that nature.
Honestly, I think that I gotta disagree. I think the dads should do it. I think I'd be married if at 18 I just said to my dad, "Can you find me 3 guys you think, or 5 guys, whatever it is that you think?" Because women, we gotta feel like we made a choice. Mm-hmm. So you gotta get the dads to give us 5 guys to pick from and say, and then you pick. I think that's the best. That's personally the best way to do. You could do 21, 20, whatever you feel like is the best age for your daughter. But I think the dads have the vested interest in wanting their daughters to not be whores. No, it's kind of 100%. Embarrassing to the dad.
Unless you're Adam 22.
Yes. well, and so they have a vested interest in so they want to pick a husband that their daughter will like. They want to pick a husband that will stay. Like, they don't want their daughters in the streets. That's embarrassing to them. So I think the best decisions are made when the people with the most to lose help make it. And you would think women, but we're just dummies.
In Islam, they have honor killings, don't they? If a woman or a daughter is a whore, they stone her to death, don't they?
Yeah, that's how it is.
Do you agree with that?
Well, that's the way it is. Yes.
Well, I understand that's the way it is. Is that something you agree with, or do you think that's a little bit too far? Like, for instance, in Islam, they say if you steal, you got to cut off the hand. Why can't you cut off a finger, Pearl? Why do you got to cut off the whole freaking hand?
Well, I mean,
Well, that's what it's in the book, but sometimes, because God, Allah, is most gracious, most merciful. I like to always bet on that. That you have most gracious, most merciful.
Unless you don't worship him, then he's not too merciful, is he?
Yeah. But we try to see that you have to exercise some mercy and grace.
Uh-huh.
So, okay, that's what it says but sometimes you have to use your wisdom according to
Allah told you to think.
According to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
and you know what's funny? It's like this just shows how benevolent men are naturally, because you're both like, well, we don't gotta cut off his hand.
I mean, someone else would say I'm fucking crazy for trying to think, to cut off a finger.
Well, but that's the thing. Men will always police. Like, men are the most benevolent dictators if you just look at the world.
Not if you look at Stalin. Not if you look at people like that. They were anything but benevolent. He killed 50 million people.
I know they can not be. I'm not saying they don't do evil things.
Mm-hmm.
But if they do, other men will always police them. And that's something that women don't do. When a woman's getting like verbally bullied, fuck, no bitches are helping us because we all go with the group. Like, you're just then all the other women join them. It's like when one friend goes, they all go.
Well, we're gonna wrap this up. I think this was a extremely interesting conversation. Pearl, do you have any final words?
No, thanks for having me on. This was fun. Never thought I'd meet Barack Obama's brother. That's kind of cool.
Wait till election season. You're gonna meet a lot more people.
Yeah.
Malik, do you have any last words?
I just said this was a great discussion, great conversation, and we should try and do this a lot more.
I didn't do too much of the numerology and astrology today. We kept it to orange pill content. By the way, that's why I named my stuff Orange Pill, because we always have orange over here.
You realize that's what the Bitcoiners say.
I don't give a fuck what they say. By the way, I told everyone to sell their Bitcoin in January 2022. If you didn't listen to me, you broke, bitch. Anyways, this has been a GG33 production. Wrap it up.
Okay.